and felicitations, adventurers! Welcome to Roll for Felicity, a Twitch stream where we tell serialized one-shots using an abundance of systems and an assortment of players. The chat is already super excited, which is great to see. I will say at the top of the stream, my internet has been being a little bit wonky tonight, so there might be some technical problems. If that happens, we'll roll with it. That's our reality with playing remotely, unfortunately. But playing remotely also means that I get to play with some amazing people who I wouldn't always normally get to play with. And so tonight I am here with Rachel, Xavery, and Chris. And we are going to be playing a wintry murder mystery, which you might be able to tell from the music that is playing. A little spooky, a little wintry, a little murdery. And we'll see how our adventurers do tonight. I am Taylor. I am the DM for this session. And we play a lot of different game systems, but this month is D&D-cember. So we're going to be playing 2 different D&D one-shots. This one, roll for FeMYSTEry, which, as I said, is a murder mystery one-shot. And then on the 27th, we are going to be playing our second session of Goblin Squad Lonely Home, which is going to be a Christmas holiday-themed one-shot where all the players are playing goblins. That one's going to be super fun. If you're able to tune in for previous Goblin Squad, Abracadabra, that was a Halloween one. This one's going to be holiday-themed. Which... nice that I say that because Nightbot in the chat just said the same thing that I was just saying, which is about our upcoming stream. And then I've also been doing some streams in between one-shots that are like me prepping for sessions, playing other games. So if you like D&D content and like narrative game content, feel free to follow me. I would really appreciate it. This has been super fun streaming, and I like to meet other people who like this type of content. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and throw it to Rachel. Do you want to introduce yourself to our chat?
Sure. Hello, chat. My name is Rachel. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm very excited to be here. I've been playing D&D for like 5 or 6 years now, as well as Monster of the Week and Star Trek Adventures, and I love tabletop RPGs, and I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. And then next we have Xavery. You want to introduce yourself? I think you have a fan in the chat who's already familiar, but for those of us who don't know you already.
I'm Xavery. I'm new to D&D. I haven't done much tabletop streaming, but I am so excited to be here. And
Yeah. And then last but not least, we have Chris. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks, Taylor. I'm Chris. During the day, I'm an attorney. At night, I'm a nerd. And I've been a DM here recently for the last couple of years, and excited to get to be a player tonight. So thanks for the opportunity. Look forward to it.
Yeah, Chris, your volume is a little low. I'm not sure why. It says you're muted in Discord, which I don't know how I can hear you.
Is that better?
Yeah. I don't know how I can hear you at all before.
Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you now. That's really weird.
Awesome.
Okay. I just tried to change a little setting on my internet since it is a little bit laggier than I was hoping that it would be, but we'll roll with it. Tonight, the other exciting thing that's happening tonight is you'll see, in the corner of the screen, a little follower goal. I am really close to 50 followers, which is exciting if I get to 50, because it opens up new avenues of things I can do with the stream. So I'll be able to have, channel points, bits, emotes, all that cool stuff. So if you like this kind of content, it helps me get to 50. And then if we do get to 50 followers tonight or during the next stream, a random person from the chat will, okay, this internet is still really going insane. A random person from the chat, will be entered to win, everyone in the chat will be entered to win randomly the ability to choose one of the next systems that we're going to play in the future. So that's really exciting. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the adventure. So we begin tonight's adventure in the country of Asher in the city of Canterkeep. Most people are snuggled warmly inside their homes as night has fallen early, just as night falls early in the winter in our world. Unlike our world, the streetlights around the city flicker to life, not through electricity, but with a spark of magic. A heavy snow has fallen over the city, and a man bundled warmly against the cold urges the horse pulling his snowplow through the city streets to move quickly so they can both get home. He passes wistfully by a tavern where people of all sorts, humans, dwarves, halflings, tieflings, orcs, any combination of those you can think of, gather to celebrate because tomorrow is the Night of Candles. Pine boughs and candles decorate the outsides of buildings, and the snow falls heavily overall, both beautiful and a considerable obstacle for those of you who are struggling to make it on time to a holiday party in the home of Freya Dabria, which is frustratingly far outside of the city. As each of you arrive fashionably late, would you like to introduce your characters? And we will start with Rachel.
Sure. My name is Arlen Larasis, and I am an investigative reporter, as well as a Inquisitor archetype rogue. And I don't know that I should tell the audience anything else.
Do you want to give a little
That's what you know right now.
physical description, what you look like, what you're wearing, that kind of thing?
Sure. Arlen is about 5'4". She has short, kind of maroonish hair, and she definitely has her cloak kind of pulled up to cover her face a little bit.
Yeah, cool. Xavery, you want to introduce your character?
I think y'all already know me. My name is Anjela. I am a murder mystery writer. We probably met on Book Tour. Did I sign something for y'all? I think I did. You might know me because my hair is always wrapped up like this. Let me make sure my ears are covered. There we go. And I'm ready.
Yeah. And then last, we got Chris again. Do you want to describe your character? A little introduction.
Sure. Walt is 6'4", 300 pounds, but none of it muscle. All of it wood and metal. He is a warforged. Light glow of blue eyes. As he walks up to the door, he takes off his wide brim hat and shakes some of the snow off and puts it back on and brushes it off. He gunmetal gray skin tones to his metal structure with a little bit of wooden highlights here and there. And while he has a breastplate and looks fairly thick for a warforge, he does carry on his hip a holster with a weapon in it. And other than that, right now, that's about all you need to know.
Yeah, so these three characters, who I believe we established before the stream, have some degree of familiarity with each other. You all arrive at kind of the same time. And how are you getting there? Are you like, do you have like your own transportation? Did you make the trek by foot this cold evening? Did you take some kind of horse-drawn carriage? How are you getting here tonight?
Walt would have stayed overnight at a local tavern and just made his way by foot.
By foot. I imagine the cold maybe doesn't bother Walt as much as it bothers some of the other players. How about the other two?
Arlen was probably staying at the same tavern as Walt, so I imagine they're probably walking in together.
Nice.
Even though she's a little bit miserable, this is not a good time. She forgot that he doesn't care about the cold.
Yeah, and Anjela, how are you arriving?
Anjela only travels by chauffeur. I would love to have you come in with me, baby, but it's invitation only. I'm sure you understand, so I will see you when the party's over.
Perfect. Yeah, so your chauffeur slowly gets the cart turned around, ushers the horse back home in the growing drifts of snow. And you've all been invited to this party with personally written invitations. Arlen, your invitation indicates that Freya followed your writing career in your previous city, kind of previous life, with interest. Was disappointed when you left your former newspaper, but was excited to find with a considerable amount of digging that you were kind of in the area, that you were not too far from Canterkeep. Walt, your invitation was written very warmly, that the two of you share a mutual friend. She doesn't specify who this person might be. But somebody either who served with you in the military in the war, or is familiar with your history with that a little bit, who spoke of your bravery on the battlefield and your great value of life. She says that she has not had the occasion to meet someone of your disposition, which I think you can tell is a reference to your Warforged status. And she would be honored to have a war hero in her home, regardless of how humbly he downplays his heroics. And Xavery, I put this in before I knew your characters' names. It should be Anjela. Anjela, your letter is written with great excitement. Freya is very interested in your work, and says, kind of in something interesting to you, because you're not super public about this aspect of your life. But she writes that her great regret in life is that she's never shown any magical aptitude, and makes up for it by installing as many magical gadgets in her home as possible, and basically indicates that she's very interested in your written work, and she's also interested in another side of yourself that you're not quite sure how she knows about it, that she's kind of indirectly alluding to it. So we've got that. Everyone, go ahead to start us off. You can roll a history or insight check to see how much you know about Freya kind of going into this holiday dinner.
Not too much.
And go ahead and let me know what you rolled. I closed out of the roll 20 window because I think it was part of what was slowing my connection down a little bit. So the stream can still see that there is roll 20, but it's not actually present on my screen. So Walt, what did you roll?
Walt rolled an 11. Mighty 11.
Okay. Rachel.
Arlen got a 13.
Cool. And Xavery.
I got a 19 for history.
Nice. Cool. Okay. Okay, so we've got an 11. You said 13, Rachel, and then a 19?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Walt, what you know is kind of the public information about Freya Abria. Or Dabria, sorry. Freya's very rich. You know, she lost her parents at a young age and is something of a recluse. So she is definitely a known person in Canterkeep, in the way that, like, a lot of people who are very, very rich are known people. But apart from that, you don't know very much about her. The other two of you, Anjela and Arlen, you know that she is also extremely intelligent, and most of the social society in Canterkeep find her to be a bit off-putting. She used to be a little bit more social, a little bit more involved in society, but in her early 20s, she abruptly removed herself from public life, apart from, you know, she has a distant cousin, and who's a little bit younger than she is, who she took under her wing, when he was cut off by his family. So you know that she's kind of a recluse, kind of off-putting to a lot of kind of the high society people that she would normally be friends with. And yeah, it's I think it's up to you how you feel, obviously, about that your character was invited to this dinner. But none of you know her personally, so it's at least interesting in that aspect that that you haven't necessarily maybe you've met her before, especially Anjela. I could see you having met her before at some sort of societal function. But she doesn't hang out in high society a lot, and you don't really know her personally.
And DM, we're all arriving at the same time, so Arlen and I and Walter
Yes.
walking up as Anjela is being disembarking from her chauffeur.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So you all arrive at the same time, if you want to greet each other.
Walt would be shortening his strides to accommodate Arlen's walk as he hears her grumble a little bit under her breath about the cold and wet. And looking out from underneath his hat, he sees Anjela disembark and leans down to Arlen and says, "Is that Miss Anjela?"
Arlen kind of like lifts up her hood. She definitely like had her head down, has been like bundled up against the cold, and she kind of looks up, and I think that is Miss Anjela. I wonder how we all got invited.
I've met her once before. Maybe we should go give our hi, how you doing?
Absolutely, let's do that.
So we walk up and Walt does, Miss Anjela, is that you?
Is that, oh, whoa, it's been a long time. Is that all you're gonna say? Like, you don't know me? Come here. Give me a kiss.
Walt leans down, but not having lips, just touches the sides of her cheek with his very cold face, and steps back to allow Arlen enough room to come in.
And I'll lower the cloak and, hello, Miss Anjela, how are you doing?
That's right. You know, I'm always good, always ready for a party. It's good to see y'all here.
It's good to see you too. This is quite a group of people that have been summoned.
This is a bit above my pay grade, to be honest with you, Miss Anjela. You aware why we might be here?
Me? Now, why would I know something like that?
You can't fool me, ma'am. I know how smart you are.
Well, let's just see where the night takes us then. How about that?
Yes, ma'am.
As you say that, the door, so this mansion, I'll describe a little bit. The snow-covered mansion is made of red brick, full of windows, with dormer windows and turrets along the top of the roof. Snow-covered ivy climbing the side. Each window is lit by an array of candles framed with pine boughs, which most likely weren't hard to come by, as the grounds have quite a few evergreen trees. And as you are having this conversation kind of by the front door, protected a little bit from the snow by the large sort of balcony that's above the door, it's opened by a petite woman with light, kind of bronzy skin, and bobbed dark hair, which is punctuated by two brass horns that kind of curve back. And she ushers you in and she says, come in from the cold. I'll take your coats, and usher you to some of the other guests who have arrived.
Walt, he'll hand over his coat but keep his hat.
Arlen takes off her cloak and hands it over, but just kind of like watch to see where she puts it, because I don't know, it's a safety blanket thing.
Yeah.
Where's my cape? Oh, yeah. Anjela whips off her cape.
Ooh.
And just that's it. Where everybody else is putting their stuff. This woman, which actually anybody who wants to, I'd say roll me either history or nature, I think. Because you haven't seen someone quite like her before. And let me know what you get. We're not hitting Walt's strong suits, I'm guessing, by your expression.
Walt is actually falling backwards a little bit. Nice number 7.
Nice.
Arlen got a 6.
Okay.
Maybe they're alive?
I got 11,
11.
which is not much better.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'll say you can rule out with the horns. You would think maybe tiefling, because that's probably one of the more common like people that you would have encountered with horns, and you can tell that this is not a tiefling. So you can rule something out. I think Anjela. Arlen and Walt, you kind of just are like, maybe not even thinking about it, you know, you're kind of like, you know, maybe preoccupied with the fact that you're running a little bit late. This is a very, very, very rich person's house, maybe a little bit out of your depth. But yeah. So yeah, she ushers you into the drawing room, which has a pool table. And Anjela, you recognize that there's some arcane symbols on this pool table that you recognize that it can transform into like multiple other types of games. So, you know, there's maybe some sort of push button thing where it's like, oh, now you can play air hockey. Now you can play, you know, fantasy air hockey. There's a fire crackling in the fireplace, some overstuffed leather chairs, and a few platters of hors d'oeuvres and drinks that are slowly circulating around the room on what must be invisible transports of some kind. And there's 4 people here already having a conversation. One of them you recognize as Freya. She's tall, white, she's a dark-haired half-elf in her late 30s, maybe early 40s. She's dressed very smartly in a white shirt, black suspended pants, and a pinstripe jacket that highlights the few streaks of gray in her hair. And for someone so rich, it's notable, she's not really wearing any jewelry except from, you can see there's a simple ring on her hand that features a violet suspended in glass. And as you all come in, she says, welcome, guest. It's so good to see you here tonight. Have a seat, have a drink. How was your travel? I trust it was well.
Walt, just, ma'am, it's a pleasure to meet you. Well, thank you for the invitation, though not entirely sure why.
Oh, why wouldn't I want to have a lovely evening with some lovely folks? I know we haven't met in person before, Walt, but I've heard a lot of wonderful things about you. And she gestures kind of towards a chair that is clearly like bigger, more reinforced, that a warforged would be able to sit in comfortably.
Oh, well, appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am. Walt will go over and take a seat.
Now, you know I don't normally travel at the first hint of a snowflake, but for you, I always make an exception, darling.
Yes, it's so good to see you here. I know we haven't had a lot of chances to socialize. Well, you know how it is when you have a nice, comfortable place that you're happy to stay in. You don't get out as much. Yeah, and then she looks at you, Arlen, and extends her hand for a handshake as well.
I take her hand and shake it and say, thank you so much for the invitation. It is lovely to be here. How were you able to find me?
Oh, I have my ways, but don't worry, you're in no danger here tonight. And if you want to, you could roll like an insight check maybe to see what's up. Actually, I think any of you can kind of roll an insight. You all seem a little wary, a little interested.
Would Walt have overheard that? How did you find me?
That's a good question. I think Rachel, were you trying to be stealthy with the question?
I don't know that I was necessarily trying to be stealthy about it.
Okay.
It could be like a pretty innocent question, but I did get an 18 insight.
Cool. So yeah, Walt,
22.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, you're a little insight guy. And Anjela, what'd you get on that insight roll?
I got 22 as well.
Nice, yeah. The players came into this game knowing fully that this was a murder mystery, so we've got some players who are very took some very appropriate skill checks, that they got proficiency in. Okay, so we've got 19 and 2 22s. Something is up. First of all, Freya, to your kind of maybe primary concern, Arlen, Freya is a very rich woman and probably hired some kind of private investigator or series of private investigators. There could be some level of bribery going on. She is a determined person. She wanted to find you. She has quite a few resources at her disposal. You are definitely keeping things secret, but she was very determined. But also with a 19, you do sense that when she says, like, you're in no danger here, that she didn't bring you here for, in order to harm you or lay a trap or something like that. The other two of you, I think something happens next. I'll narrate. I promise that it'll get a little less narraty. You'll have plenty of chances to interact a little bit more, but it's setting things up. So the person who took your coats and things, I think you, Arlen, were paying attention. She went into what seems like a coat room or something like that, hung everything up. And she comes back in and says, I'm very sorry to inform everyone tonight, but the snow is really showing no signs of coming down any less. We might be snowed in tonight. I'll go ahead and go make sure that that there are rooms prepared for all of you in case you do need to spend the night. And I think all of you notice that there's a young man in the room, one of the other guests who's already arrived, grows noticeably sulky when that announcement is made, that he does clearly is disappointed that he's going to be snowed in. And then also, I think all of you rolled well enough that I'll just give you a quick rundown of who else is here, because these are all people who are relatively high society. You would maybe know them. So obviously you already know Freya, the woman who invited you here tonight. The sulky young man, he's a human man in his 20s, and you know that this is Jared Parksforth, and he is Freya's distant cousin that she's taken under her wing. And he's tall and lanky with brown skin, has what we would refer to as kind of Arabic features, so dark eyebrows, thick wavy hair, brown eyes. And you know that he's kind of like a little bit of his cousin is kind of a recluse. He's definitely very active in social scenes. He's kind of has a reputation for being something of like a party boy. Another person here you recognize is there's a dwarf. I almost said a human dwarf, which I don't know why I was combining multiple D&D. He's an elf dwarf tiefling. No, he's a dwarf with medium-length red hair, which is slicked back from his face, long red beard. And he's standing, maybe compensating a little bit because everyone else is seated. He's wearing kind of like an ornamental armor that is kind of like clanking around as he's moving. You all know that this gentleman is named Brookred Magmahead. And he's an importer-exporter. And then I think the last person that you know here tonight, there's an elderly human woman who is by far dressed the most traditionally formally out of everyone. She's wearing a long blue ball gown. She has a tight corset on. She's probably in like maybe her 70s or 80s. And you know that this is Acantha Ellison. And you know that she kind of took on a mother figure role to Freya. When Freya's parents passed away, she was kind of a friend of the family. Her eyes are bright blue, her skin is pale, and on her hands almost translucent with age. She holds herself together well, but her head and hands tremble a little bit with age. So yeah, you notice Jared is sulky at that news. You also thought that you had heard, I think this, applies to all of you. You thought that you had heard that Freya and Acantha had a falling out, but that must not be true because this is a very intimate party and Acantha is here, and they seem to be comfortable. And you're also finding it a bit strange that Freya has invited Brookred Magmahead, as he has a reputation for being a bit of a blowhard and not a particularly interesting person. Like, kind of the type of person that you would, if you were having a party of, like, these are interesting people that I want to surround myself with. Like, you don't really know why she would have invited him. And, Walt and Anjela, you notice as Molly, I just said the name, the person who brought you in is named Molly. And Freya gives her a lingering glance as she leaves to prepare the rooms that you two kind of notice.
Walt would not have any personal knowledge or any relationships with any of these people, though, right?
No, I don't believe so. Because they're all kind of society people. I will say maybe Brookred Magmahead, possibly you could have, because he does imports and exports, so he travels a lot. So, you could have maybe been on a crew or something like that for him, or bodyguard duty, something like that. I'll leave that up to you. But I don't think the rest of the guests, I don't think you run in similar circles to them.
No, this is a little bit of high society for Walt.
But yeah, I'll,
Yeah, have I met?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh. Have I met any of them before? Probably.
I think, probably not. I don't think Acantha or Brookred are particular readers. I think Jared, I could see you having met him before.
Okay.
But yeah, everyone's just kind of chit-chatting. I think Freya gives kind of some brief introductions to each of you, to the people who are here. I think she says, like, thank you, Molly, something like that. So in-game, that's how you know Molly's name, not just me saying it. But yeah, everyone's kind of having a conversation. I'll leave it to you all if you have someone that you want to talk to or talk amongst yourselves. I know there's a little bit of a lag, so if there's moments of silence, I'm just letting you have a chance to get a word in edgewise.
Arlen will go talk to Jared, because she saw that he, like, looked a little miffed that we might get stuck here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of lounging in one of these seats with, like, a glass of wine. Definitely doing the man spreading, taking up as much of the seat as he can. Yeah, as a lanky guy. But it's, no victimless crime. It's a single seat. He's not hurting anyone else in this instance. But yeah, he's
regardless. So Arlen will kind of grab a glass of wine from one of the trays as it floats by and just kind of meander over and, like, take a very deliberate seat on the couch, and if he has to move his legs to make space for her, then so be it. That's just the way it's gonna be. Are you not having a good time? I saw the look that we might get snowed in.
Oh, of course I'm having a good time. There's plenty of wine. What do you mean? He takes a sip.
Somewhere else you'd rather be, maybe?
Oh, well, there was another party I was supposed to attend tonight, but I do enjoy my dear cousin's company. It's just, a man like me, I like to see as many people as I can during the holidays, and the party's a bit small for my taste.
Understandable, though quite an interesting crowd here tonight.
That's true. It's gotten a bit more interesting with the new arrivals, and he kind of gives you like a little look. And he's mildly flirting, but also the three of you are probably, apart from maybe Freya, kind of the more interesting people who have arrived.
Yeah, certainly, but I don't want to flirt with this guy.
Yeah, I think when you just give a very cold response, he nods and is like, I'm kind of giving him creep vibes, I guess unintentionally. But when you give a very meh response, he just kind of backs off, and says, so tell me a little bit more about yourself. I don't think I know you.
Just a investigative reporter. Trying to find some work in these trying times. You know how it goes. Just got here recently, but happy to be invited.
Interesting. Investigative reporter. Have you broken any big cases?
One or two, but I've got one on the back burner as well that I'm still working on. But these things take time. You know how it is.
Absolutely. And I think as you're having this conversation, you kind of, I think, are kind of scouting out the lay of the land a little bit. And as you're talking about, broken any big cases, that kind of thing, Brookred, you realize that you recognize him, and you recognize him as someone that your old boss may have had some business with in the past.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can I do a an insight check to see if I remember what he was doing?
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead. Yeah. Roll. I think this would be probably history instead of insight, because it's more to do with who he is and not necessarily his motivations.
7. I've got no idea.
Yeah, you don't know exactly what you just feel like you had maybe seen him around in having those kind of behind closed doors meetings with your previous employer. And I think
interesting.
Anjela, what are you up to?
I'm going to stroll over to Akante and be like, oh, you must be the esteemed Akantha. I have heard so much about you. I'm so glad the rumors aren't true. It's so nice to see you and Miss Freya getting along. Now, tell me about this dress. It is to die for, darling, to die for.
Oh, yes, this dress, it's, well, I had it made by, designer, of course, and nothing off the rack for me. I'm sure you know how that is.
Naturally.
Brings out the blue of my eyes. And she's kind of sitting very stiffly. She's very corseted up. And she says, as for me and Freya, well, she's been through so much. And, any sort of falling out, I don't know if we need to talk about that tonight. It's a night for good feelings, celebration.
Of course, yeah. It's always with family. Things can be hard, but they're still family. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I just always want what's best for her, and there could be misunderstandings, that kind of thing. But yes, it's all out of love. Are you working on any?
Can I do like?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Can I do like an insight check to see if maybe the falling out was something that she did or something Freya did? Like if she's angry or just.
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead and roll an insight check. Let's start with that. Yeah.
18.
18. She seems like she doesn't seem angry, first thing. She seems like she doesn't want to air dirty laundry about, the two of them. So she's a little reticent to talk about it, but she doesn't particularly seem angry.
Okay.
I think while you're kind of sizing her up, she says, so, since you're here tonight, do you have any information on any kind of upcoming novels? I'm not a big reader myself, but I'm told that your books are very good.
Well, I can talk about that I do have a book coming up, but I can't talk about that. My publishers will be on my on my behind. But, if you're looking to get into mystery books, I have the perfect one. There's it's called Ball and Sunshine. It's about this beautiful wedding party, and well, I won't tell you what happens in it, but let me just tell you, the maid of honor, think about that. All right? Think about that.
She nods very solemnly. When you caught yourself from saying ass, she started to look a little incensed, but calmed down, when you, when you refrained. And she says, oh, well, I'll have to give it a try. My eyesight isn't what it used to be, but maybe I'll be able to find someone who can read it aloud to me. And, Walt, what are you up to?
Walt took off his hat when he sat down, and he sits straight and tall in the chair, a little untrusting of it, but letting it settle in to make sure it can hold his weight. And he is, with a very low charisma, watching a lot of things that are happening around him. Very curious about the snow really causing a problem. Are there windows to look out of this room to see outside right now?
I think there's what's a drawing room if it doesn't have some nice windows looking out. So yeah, I think there's some windows out.
If nobody's coming over to talk to Walt, he would take a moment to look around, stand up, put his hat back on, and just walk over to a window and look outside. He wants to verify that this really is the way it was. They're saying.
Yeah, I think just by looking, you can see the snow is pretty deep. Go ahead and roll me a survival check to see what you think about the traveling conditions.
5.
You really can't comprehend that there would be a problem traveling. I mean, the snow is very deep. It's probably about to your waist at this point. The roads, it's not quite that deep because they've been plowed, but this house is a little bit out of the way. It's kind of out in the countryside. But you don't see how you would have a problem leaving if you had to. Maybe that's swayed a little bit by the fact that it would be difficult for you to feel a lot of negative things from it being very cold. But yeah, you don't really see why there would be a problem with traveling.
In the glass, do I see a reflection from the inside of the room?
Yeah, I think so.
Can I see my companions that I came in with from the glass, or both of them in the view of that? Because Walt would move to make sure that he's seeing what's going on behind him.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Yeah, you kind of position yourself so you're seeing a little bit of you. You can see your own glowing eyes. You can see the fire in the fireplace crackling behind you. And if you shift your focus, you can see your two travel companions.
Walt would just keep an eye on him for a moment, and if nobody came over and he wasn't bothered, he would just turn around and kind of occupy the space by the window to just keep an eye on everybody.
Yeah. I think I accidentally maybe cut you off before, Xavery, in your conversation. Was there something else that you wanted to say to Acantha during that conversation? Okay, cool.
No.
So yeah, you're all kind of chit-chatting a little bit, and I think another thing that all of you notice, I think specifically Anjela, because you're in conversation with Acantha, she's talking more about her dress, maybe you two are talking about that sort of thing, and there's a halfling, like a young halfling man who comes in to refresh some of these floating trays, so add some more wine, refill the hors d'oeuvres, that sort of thing. And Acantha is very dismissive of him. He kind of maybe reaches across kind of her range. I'm not really thinking about it. And she's a little bit rude to him. And yeah, I think she kind of says, "Now, excuse me, young man. You could wait for these trays are floating. You could wait for them to get a little bit closer. I don't want any wine spilled on my dress."
I'm gonna try to go out of my way to be a little bit nice to this waiter and be like, "Thank you, my dear. This is exactly what I needed. Now, what is your name, young man?"
"Oh, my name's Wilbur. It's very nice to meet you, Miss Anjela. I'm a big fan of your work."
Is that right? I always have time to meet a fan, and it is my honor to meet you. You look so dapper right here. We appreciate what you're doing for this party.
He looks like he's about to cry. And is he's carrying himself with this very specific demeanor, a very determined, careful air of someone who is often clumsy and desperate not to be. And so he's moving very deliberately. So, Acantha being concerned about the wine, she was rude, but maybe he's very shaken by that. He's maybe spilled wine on her before. But when you say that, his hand starts to shake a little bit. He very carefully finishes putting the rest of the hors d'oeuvres on the trays, and he says, "Well, I don't want to bother you, miss, but if you need anything, just absolutely let me know. I can bring you some more wine and anything you want. We want to make sure you have a lovely time tonight."
Absolutely. I am all set for now, dear.
Yeah, he takes off. He doesn't run, because that would be, kind of a faux pas to just run across the drawing room. Very quickly walks away overwhelmed. And I think Molly returns after a little bit. You all have been kind of having conversation. Returns and announces that dinner is ready, if everyone would like to make their way to the dining room.
How is Freya treating the help?
Oh, yeah. I think you specifically said you're kind of keeping an eye on everyone's interactions and stuff.
Yep.
So not even gonna make you roll for anything. When Acantha, that conversation with Anjela, Acantha, and Wilbur, the kind of waiter, Freya's watching, and you can see kind of with very closely monitoring that conversation. Before Anjela stepped in and treated Wilbur so gracefully, you noticed that Freya kind of moved as if she was going to offer some sort of correction, but kind of, allowed her guest to speak first, because Anjela was right on it. Yeah, so you all.
As we exit the room, if Angela's towards the back, I would lean into her, down to her for a moment, and I was like, "Your friend is kind of rude."
You know, I just met her, but I'm thinking the same thing. You know, I wonder if that's one of the reasons why she and Miss Freya, maybe, I'm just speculating, but maybe had a rough time getting along.
That's it. That's all. Waltz just kind of says what comes to the top of his head.
Yeah. I think this conversation is kind of happening as you're all... Acantha, like, Freya comes over to Acantha, I think, and helps her up, you know, when the dinner is announced. So you two kind of hang back, have that little conversation. And you all make your way to the dining room. And, the table, you notice, is a bit small for the room, because this is kind of a generous dining room, and the table is appropriately sized for the number of guests there are tonight. It's spread beautifully with Night of Candles decorations, and a magical effect that looks like snow is falling gently onto the centerpieces, which, Anjela, you are like, oh yeah, this lady said that she loves, like, magic gadgets and, like, cool little things. So far, it seems like her house is kind of decked out in those. And there's a phonograph in the corner that plays subdued but festive music. There's a halfling woman that comes out who looks related to the halfling waiter, and she comes out, seems like she's probably the cook. And they bring out the first course, which is a spicy butternut squash soup and a cold salad with crisp lettuce and apples. And they bring that out for you. How do you think you all are seated? Like, I'll leave it up to you. I don't think there's, it's not assigned seating, I'll say. So I'll let you kind of pick where you're planning to sit. Freya, I think, is at the head of the table.
Walt would have probably tried to sit next to Arlen and or Anjela, depending on how they were seated. And he would admire the food, though. That's about as far as he can go.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think. I don't know what accommodations would be made for that. Do you think that
none would have needed to be made? There's no eating, there's no breathing, there's
okay.
Nothing along that line.
There's a webcomic that I like where there's a lot of, like, robots with AI, and they can't eat, but they love the smell of things. So I was wondering if that enters into the equation, but maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't. Warforged don't breathe,
yeah.
So I don't know if even I can appreciate the aesthetic of it, though.
Maybe yours is plated very small portions, but very aesthetically pleasing. For accommodations.
Can Walt reach out though and see if the snow that's in the centerpiece is real or illusion?
Yeah, I think just putting your hand out, I think it sort of gathers in your hand as you put your hand out, but it is just a very, very well-crafted illusion. So, it doesn't, you notice it's not quite resting in your hand. There's a little bit of a zone where it's just like, oh, there's maybe something here, and it fades away a little while. After a little while, it doesn't melt. But yeah, it's an illusion.
Arlen is trying to position herself, like, in a corner so she can see all the different doors, just kind of general scoping out the area. She also definitely wants to be next to Walt, and while he is playing in the fake snow, she is, like, low-key, like, reaching over to his, like, with her spoon, like, stealing his soup.
Yeah.
With Walt's offhand, he just pushes the plate over to her.
Nice. Yeah, Anjela, what are you doing during this first course?
I'd like to sit, like, right next to Freya, And then just like chat with her, probably more like gesturing with my spoon than eating because I'm too busy talking.
Yeah. You sit down next to her, and she kind of, as soon as you sit down, you can tell, I think, just through passive insight, she's like pretty excited to sit next to you, and she kind of leans in and she says, "Now, okay, tell me all about, you know, your, I don't want to say secrets, but your ways, you know? I've always admired people with your talents."
You know, I wouldn't have the faintest idea what you mean. People call me a wizard of prose. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I know exactly
Magical
what you mean. Yeah.
at crafting sentences. Plot wizardry, that's my thing.
Yeah. And there's nothing, you know, we've all heard rumors, you know. There's nothing to any of those rumors.
You know, a lady can't give everything away, Miss Ray. You, of all people, should know that.
That's true. Well, just know that if you ever see fit to make some of your skills a little bit more well known, I'm always on the hunt for people with particular talents to, you know, help improve my home, perhaps learn a bit from, although I have no magic in any of my ways, prose or otherwise.
We'll see. You know what? Maybe a little bit later we'll talk.
Yes, maybe after a little more wine. And she takes a big sip of her wine. And I think the conversation is in
as Walt is. Good. As Walt's playing with the, you know, observing the snow, what he's really looking for is he's looking to see how the other guests are eating and whether they're focused on what he's doing, knowing Arlen's not paying attention at all. And there's a conversation happening down the way. What are the other guests? Are they like distracted by the fact that Walt's playing in the snow, or are they like completely ignoring that and just moved on to eating?
I think Walt is experiencing an unfortunate thing that happens sometimes where Freya obviously is interested in you as a person because she invited you, but she's in conversation with Anjela. And Arlen knows you to some degree, but is maybe a little bit preoccupied with what is, unfortunately you don't know, but a delicious meal. The other guests aren't really that interested in your whole deal. Like, they're kind of like, okay, there's this guy that's here, he's not really... And Arlen, I think you're getting a little bit of this vibe too, that like the other guests maybe aren't as interested in like finding out more about you. Yeah, Walt, I don't think anyone is particularly paying you attention, which maybe is good in that you can observe other people, but also kind of an alienating feeling, at least when I've experienced things like that. It's not been the best feeling.
After a few minutes of checking out the snow, he would just put his hand back, place his hand at his lap, and just keep observing unless somebody interacts with him, and make sure that whatever food comes out just kind of gracefully gets moved to the side to Arlen.
Yeah. I do think, Anjela, your conversation with Freya is interrupted as the next course is brought out, which is stuffed chicken and some roasted vegetables. And as that's brought out, Acantha kind of sighs and she says, "Now, Freya, I really wish that you would hire some more staff for your home. You know, you can't really keep it up with the few people you have, and, you know, surely it's not fair to them that they have so much work to do, and, you know, you would really get more use out of this mansion and be able to maybe have a few more parties." And Freya kind of waves her hand dismissively and she says, "My staff are more than well taken care of, and, you know, I've installed quite a few things around the house to help them out. And you can tell she gets a little excited, and she says, actually, one of the newer things I've gotten is I've had a wizard design for me this sort of device. There are these tubes about the house that when you pull them out, there's this vacuum that's created, and they're able to dust everything up and do all the floors and vacuum and everything very quickly. I tried to get a druid to do it, but, you know, they wouldn't do it for me. Nature abhors a vacuum. And, they, yeah. So that conversation, is kind of happening. And, what, Arlen, apart from, eating, what, what else, is there anything else that you're kind of doing during dinner?
Based upon her realization earlier that Brooke Red may have some associations with her former employer, definitely just kind of keeping one eyeball on him. She's not quite ready to talk to him yet.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't know. She obviously wants to, but she doesn't quite know what tack to take with that. So right now she's just kind of observing him and making a big show of, like, eating while she does it, so that she seems a little less interested than she actually is.
Yeah. So luckily, even though you're not really ready to talk to Brooke Red, he is, like I said, kind of a little bit of very willing to talk in general. Make sure that didn't. Okay. I just had to restart the music, and I wanted to make sure there wasn't another fiasco like before where everyone's cameras moved, but that didn't happen. Yeah, so Brooke Red is talking to, I think, Jared and Acantha, and he's saying, so, of course, I was in this new town, so the first thing you gotta do is you gotta go up to the biggest business, you gotta go up to the CEO, and you gotta say, look, I'm here to make business, and what I say is gonna go. You know, I know you're kind of a big fish in a small pond, but, you know, I'm gonna be calling the shots from now on. And, you know, you start off with that, and everyone kind of just, you know, follows whatever you have to say. And it kind of goes on like that. And talks about, I think also mentions his mines, that he owns a few precious gemstone mines. But I'm only going to be doing his voice a little bit because it hurts my throat to do. So I'll tell you that over the table. And I think the mines kind of, that rings a bell for you. Yeah, is there any other conversations, business anybody has? Everyone's kind of eating, observing.
Walt might lean over to Arlen at one point in time. That looks delicious.
It is.
Saying it as
for sharing.
saying it completely as observationally and detached as possible, and not actually having an idea of what that means. But he's trying. He's trying.
It is delicious, Walt. Thank you so much. You are one of my favorite dinner partners.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, you're having this kind of sweet little moment, and Anjela, you're you know, sitting right next to Freya talking to her. She takes a bite of the stuffed chicken and has a little, like, hitch in her breath, and you see her face start, like, the color drain out of her face, and she falls out of her chair very, very, very abruptly.
I scream. I think everyone probably saw that, right?
Yes, I don't, you're definitely the first person to notice it happening because you're sitting right next to her. So you notice this little hitch in her breath as she takes a bite of the food. As you scream, Molly is already running into the room, and
Walt would jump out of his chair and move down to the end of the table, completely in medic mode.
Yeah, you, I think, and Molly arrive almost at the same time. It seems like she wasn't very far away. Maybe just like outside the room, something like that. And I think you two both go to Freya immediately. Go ahead and make a medicine check, Walt.
Come on, Walt. You got this. 20. Dirty.
Dirty 20. Okay, so you immediately, she's dead. Like, this was instant. Whatever happened to her happened very quickly. Which I think with a 20, that's weird. Like, no matter what it is that happened to her, it's strange that there was no sign of it, and then she goes from being, like, talking everything to immediately deceased. And as you're kind of checking her pulse, yeah.
Like dead, like not even like saving throws dead.
Not even
like
saving
she's
throws,
like,
yeah. Which is weird.
And Walt would know that with a Walt would know that with a 20.
Yes, I think with a 20, you get that, like, you are going through your mind thinking, like, I think probably you're checking things and also trying to, you said go into medic mode, so trying to, like, you know, do chest compressions or whatever other things that a medic would be doing, seeing someone collapse. And it's like, what you're racking your mind thinking what possibly could have happened that someone would die this quickly. And I do think with that high of a roll on a medicine check, you're thinking this is some sort of something really weird is happening.
Well, before the first minute passes, Walt would, if he's able to determine all of that within that minute, he would go ahead and burn a 3rd level spell and cast Revivify.
Do you have?
So he'd reach into a one.
Do you have?
Oh shoot! I don't have a diamond.
Yeah. A spell.
I'd be like, does anybody have a diamond? Because I need a diamond worth 300 gold pieces.
Yeah.
A lot of diamond.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Normally spell components I'm not like a stickler for, but spells that require something to be consumed, like Revivify.
Because I cast Spare the Dying because that's a cantrip, but that doesn't sound like Spare the Dying is going to help any here.
No. And
I just simply ask, does anybody have any diamonds?
Yeah.
Not that it's going to happen within a minute, but.
Yeah, so everything's kind of happening very, very quickly. So you immediately rush over and are, you know, trying to figure out what's going on. You immediately come to this conclusion. Does anyone have any diamonds? Molly has, like, as she was running in, you see now that she grabbed this sort of crystal, not diamond, unfortunately, but this crystal horn off of the wall, and is kind of like speaking into it, like it has like kind of a part for speaking and a part for talking, and she grabs it and is saying, we need someone to the house immediately. There's something wrong with Freya. Oh my god, I think she's dead. We need to send someone right away. And is kind of like cradling Freya with one arm and the other arm trying to like take care of like what should happen in this situation. Everyone else is just like seated like, well, okay, what's happening? And Arlen and Anjela, is there anything that you're doing while there's some pandemonium?
I want to look over at Acantha because you said she was wearing jewelry. So does she have any diamonds on her to try and save Freya?
Yeah, I think everyone maybe is looking at Acantha, and she, you know, a diamond worth 300 gold is significant. And she just looks like terrified, and she says, "Oh, everyone, I'm so sorry. I went for pearls this evening." And you can see she has this pearl, you know, very beautiful pearl necklace. And everyone else looks like, you know, Molly, I think, turns and turns to you, Walt, and says, Freya didn't really wear jewelry. The only thing she really had is the ring. That's not a diamond. That's just glass. And it seems like nobody has a diamond that can be used for Revivify.
In Walt's head, as 60 seconds gets counted down and that first minute passes, he stands up and just looks back to the only two people he knows in the room, at Anjela and Arlen, and he just shakes his head.
She was fine a second ago. She was just eating the chicken, and can I do like an investigation or something to see if it was like poison?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and actually, any of you, if you want to roll investigation. Molly is still like on this phone, essentially talking to, you assume, some kind of authority. So she's a little preoccupied. Yeah, and let me know what you all got for investigation checks.
Shoot, wish I'd have clicked the right one on the first time. I got a 4.
What was your first
I got-
roll?
I hit insight by accident. It gave me a 24, but
Okay.
that's like, my investigation's way lower.
Yeah, I have a couple of different things that people can roll, so if insight would have been something that's applicable for this scene, I would have like given you that, but there's not insight right now,
Nope.
unfortunately. So, okay, so what did the other two of you get for investigation?
I got 22.
And I got 21.
That's right.
Nice. Yeah, so I think, Arlen, you kind of come over maybe when Walt goes over and starts to do some of his attempts at medicine. You also kind of go over, and immediately investigation clicks into gear. And Anjela, you're, immediately, this is like your bread and butter. You know about mysteries. You're looking for poison. So Anjela, you notice that her food has obviously been tampered with. And you're kind of like maybe looking at it a little bit closer. There's some kind of, everyone was eating stuffed chicken. The chicken is cut open, like she cut it to take a bite, and there's like black liquid kind of spilling out of the stuffing for the chicken, and it smells like a very acrid smell. And I think you both rolled really high, so I think you're kind of looking, you see that, go, okay, poison. Look down to Arlen, which I'll say, based on the clues that I have here for you all to do, you're kind of looking at the body. Anjela looked at the food, you're looking at the body, and Anjela, you look just in time to see Arlen kind of inspecting Freya's hands, like kind of maybe subtly as if she's trying to like check for a pulse, but actually like looking at things. Her hands are covered in some kind of dust, and there are no wounds or anything else on the body.
While they're looking, and I stood up after the 60 seconds, what is the rest of the table doing?
Yeah, I think as that time passes, you can hear, Molly is on this crystal and kind of, saying briefly what has happened. It seems like she's arguing with someone on the other, getting caught up in my words, arguing with someone on the other end of the line, saying like, are you sure there's no way you can come any sooner? We really need someone. Well, yeah, yes, I guess. Well, there's people here. I don't know. Okay. Having some sort of negotiation. After Acantha had her little thing where she, I wore pearls tonight. They're all, like, everyone else is just kind of stock still. The wait staff, there's a separate door kind of like to the kitchen. The cook and the waiter, Wilbur, both ran in as soon as there was a commotion, are just kind of standing at the door. And I'll say you did roll, I didn't put this in, but you did roll a very high insight check, albeit by accident. You have been
I can reroll.
watching. No. I'm gonna go for it. You've been watching everyone this evening and kind of an observer. Everyone, even with your very high insight check, everyone in this room seems shocked. And with that, the fact that you are very insightful, either something outside of this house is happening that caused this to be the case, or you think more likely, someone here or some of the people here are very good liars, very good actors. And if someone here killed her, they knew this was how it was going to go down and had time to figure out what their reactions were going to be. And yeah, everyone seems like, it seems like there's genuine shock in the room. And I think as everyone is kind of puzzling over the things they just found, Molly finishes up her call, kind of lays this crystal to the side, and she says, everyone needs to clear out of this room. The police will be here because of the snow and because of the location of the mansion. It's going to be hard for them to get here. They said that they want all of us to just sit tight for the next hour it takes for them to get here. So everyone, just everyone leave. I'll close up the doors. Let's all move to the ballroom. So she kind of is ushering people out. And yeah, the three of you, if you have anything you want to confer as this is happening.
Do any of the other plates look the same as Freya's? Do any of the discoloration in the chicken that Anjela found?
Roll me I'll say this is a perception check because you're kind of trying to see it as you're on your way to someplace else.
Well, before I do that, because I got to remember I can do this, I'm going to guide myself.
Yes. Absolutely.
And give myself an extra D4.
Yeah.
I got to remember to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is perception?
Yes, perception.
It's 15 plus 3, 18 total.
Yeah, you're leaving, and I think kind of like scanning the room as you're walking out. All of the other plates, obviously they've been eaten partially. Everyone was, into this course of the meal. But none of you don't see any, you don't see any of this black, liquid inside of any of the chicken. And I guess you can't smell. It's been established, so you wouldn't be able to smell the acrid smell. But you don't see any. You don't see anything in any of the rest of the stuffed chicken.
Walt's going to plant himself before he exits the door with Arlen and Anjela kind of there. And if Molly tries to push, it's not going to be readily available to push. But I just want to confer with the two of them real quick and say, I've not seen that before. I just don't know what happened there, and I've not seen somebody go down like that and die that quickly before.
Can I do a check to see if I can tell what the powder on her hands is?
Yeah, go ahead and roll me. What would this be? Yeah, go ahead and roll me an Arcana check. Because I think Walt is kind of.
Walt reaches down.
Go ahead, Walt.
And Walt reaches down and touches you on the shoulder and 1d4 guidance.
Excellent. I might need that for an Arcana check. I don't even know that a D4 is going to help me with that. That is a 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that there's this dust on her hands. You didn't notice it at any point before. Yeah, and Anjela, actually, if you want to, you can roll me an Arcana check too, because you also rolled a high enough investigation that you noticed this dust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guidance.
I saw the dust or just the
Guidance.
Oh. Okay, 26.
Okay. So, Arlen, you're just kind of like looking at this dust, or like not looking at it, but like thinking about like, okay, what was this? Anjela, you actually like know about magic, despite your protests that you simply have no idea. You, first of all, we're sitting right next to her. You didn't notice a spell being cast, which is notable. Because, you know, if you're thinking, okay, the spell, poison spell, something, you didn't notice a spell being casted, but you do know that there are ways that very powerful spellcasters can cast spells without attracting attention, but as far as you know, you and Walt are the only spellcasters who are here tonight, as far as you know, and let alone an extremely powerful spellcaster. You do, though, think that this dust, is some kind of a spell component. What did you say you got on that Arcana check?
26.
26. Okay. This is a good check to get it on. You notice that it could be that it is some kind of magical component, like a spell component. And you also know that the school of magic that most often uses this kind of thing would be necromancy. And as that kind of clicks...
Is the dust anywhere else or only... Oh, sorry.
No,
or only on her?
It's just on her. Yeah, and it's specifically, like, on her hands. I'll say on her hands, and then also, like, the things that, like, so, like, her body when she fell, like, she had dust on her hands. So there's dust on, like, her clothes a little bit as well. Because there's dust on her hands.
Is it on both hands or just one hand?
I think it's on both hands.
Okay.
But yeah, you're all kind of like thinking about what you saw, trying to catch last minute things. And you know, Walt, you said you kind of planted yourself so that Molly couldn't just shove you out of the room. So you maybe are a little geared up for like an argument. But she kind of... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, all I wanted to do was just confer with the two of them, and so even if there was a room that wasn't with the other guests outside this room, that'd be fine.
Yeah, so Molly comes up to you. She's kind of ushered everyone else out. You're kind of, you know, standing off to the side, maybe thinking of someplace else to go. And she kind of motions the three of you to come closer. And she says, I don't trust anyone here tonight completely, but the three of you, I know that Freya valued your intellect, and I can't think of any reason why any of the three of you would have wanted to kill her. I don't want you to tamper with the body. I'll stay in here if you have things that you want to look at. But I think Freya would have wanted you to look into this.
Why?
Because you were the three people here who she found most, intelligent.
It seems almost too convenient that we were here, in fact.
Listen, there's gotta be a little bit of railroading in a one-shot.
Reasonable.
I brought you here tonight for a reason.
I brought you here so I could murder someone and make you solve it.
We all met in a tavern.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess this is, if we're comparing this to a video game, this is where the tutorial is finally over. And you're kind of left to your own devices. I'll say there's a lot of rooms in this mansion. Some of them just don't have anything. So, like, there might be some rooms where it's like, oh, we want to check out this, and I'll just say, like, yeah, you check the room really thoroughly. You don't find anything, you know, of value. Just because otherwise writing a module for a mansion is just going to be a lot of busy work. I don't want this to be, like, you know, forever. Also, it's entirely possible to complete this module while still, like, failing a bunch of checks. So there's, you know, information can be found in multiple places. So if you fail something, you know, it's not the end of the world. Although, so far, you all have been doing pretty well. So yeah, what's the first thing the three of you would like to do?
I'm gonna lean over to Walt and Arlen and be like, you know, I didn't sense any spells being cast, but I do know that there is magic involved, and this kind of magic I do not like. And it seems that Miss Freya has been poisoned. And I suggest that we maybe go to the kitchen and take a look at the chef's station, anything that they may have been, like, how it may have gotten onto her plate.
Sounds reasonable.
Miss Arlen, you, if I remember correctly from our conversation, you have a bit of a better time talking to people about information. Could you find out from Miss Molly what it is that the other guests might have wanted from Miss Freya?
I can absolutely do that. So, do we want to split up? And you guys go to the kitchen, or do we want to just all stick together?
Given the fact that somebody's been killed, might be better to stay close.
Oh, come on, it's so fun to split the party.
I will say over table, because I haven't played with all of you as much, I am not a DM who gets bent out of shape if you do split the party, so that's, I can roll with that. But there is something to be
good. So I will
said for not splitting up in a murder. Sorry, go ahead, Rachel.
No worries. I'm just trying to get us into trouble early. Okay, so I want to talk and kind of see. I'm gonna go over to her and I'll say, Miss Molly, you mentioned that you didn't have a lot of trust in some of the other people who were here this evening. Could you maybe elaborate on that a little bit? Because from what we can tell, this was not an accident.
Yeah, let me scroll my notes for Molly. So she says, I don't want to say I don't have any trust for the people here tonight. You know, Acantha and Jared, they're like family. To be honest, Brookred, I don't really know why he would have any reason to want to kill Freya. I guess people do inexplicable things sometimes, but I really don't understand why he would have any interest. And the staff, of course, I know the poison kind of seems like it would be from them, but I really don't understand why they would want to kill Freya either. As much as I said Jared and Acantha were like family, the staff even more so. And she kind of, sorry, we just got a donation, so let me really quick thank you to Melanie. Someone in the chat is saying split the party. I'm gonna really quick check the donation, and see if you donate between $1 and I think it's $9, you can choose someone in the party, $1 to $5, sorry. You can choose somebody in the party to give inspiration to. So I'm checking to see, Melanie, do you have somebody who you want to give inspiration to? If so, just drop that in the chat, and somebody in the party will get inspiration. Thank you so much for your donation. So yeah, sorry. I guess while I'm doing that, I'll also shout out, give each PC inspiration. Oh, okay. So for each player inspiration, I think it's $6. I think that's kind of ambiguous on here. Because it's either, for $6 to $10, either name an NPC or give all PCs inspiration. So if you want to shell out, you know, $3 more, Melanie, you can give everyone inspiration, or you can pick one person. And also, while I'm breaking to do this, I will really quickly shout out, we've got some follows recently. So Realist Mogul, thank you so much for following. Fizzo22, thank you so much for following. J38, which I believe that's you, Chris. Thank you for following. Magna Phantom 314. Peebs. There's a lot of E's, so hopefully I did that justice. Rox Island, thank you so much for following. And Rox, thank you. I know you from another Discord. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for following. We are 7 followers away from our goal. So yeah, to get back into roleplay, I'll try to address this when there's a kind of a little bit of a natural break. So if you're saying something in the chat or doing a donation or something like that, if we don't get it to you right away, it's not because I'm ungrateful, it's because I don't want to break up the roleplay too much. So cool. Okay. So Molly says she doesn't think that the staff would have any reason to kill Freya, that they're you know, treated really well. Everyone here is like family. And she pauses and she says, but there is one person here who would benefit from Freya's death. And that's Jared.
And who might that be?
Jared is... he's not set to inherit her entire fortune in the will, because Freya set aside things for charitable organizations and also generously things for the staff, although I don't think enough, as far as I know, that anyone in the staff would want to kill her, but Jared is set to profit quite a bit if Freya passes away. And he did help with dinner. He helped out in the kitchen.
Can I do an insight check to see if what she's telling me is true?
Yeah, go ahead and roll insight. And also you all have inspiration because Melanie shelled out another $3. Thank you so much. So you all have an inspiration, which means that you'll get, you can choose to use it at any point to give yourself advantage on a roll.
I got a 22 insight.
22. Cool. She seems like she's speaking very carefully and she seems like she's withholding information. And I think also, go ahead and give me, with that insight, give me a perception check.
I'm gonna go ahead and use my inspiration because I just rolled a 4.
Go ahead and use your inspiration, that's cool. Thank you so much to Melanie.
19. Thank you, Melanie. You're the best.
Yeah. As she's talking, you can tell that she's speaking carefully, kind of withholding some information. And she's kind of like fiddling with something like that's under her shirt, basically. And you kind of notice that she's like nervously fiddling with this, and she's messing with it so much that it like kind of like the pendant, it's a necklace that she's fiddling with, the pendant is revealed very briefly. And with your little you know, quick eyesight, your supernatural power of succeeding when you thought you would fail, you see that the pendant is a violet suspended in glass.
Like the ring that Freya's wearing?
Like the ring, yeah.
Interesting. Molly, is there anything else you can tell me or feel like we need to know if we're going to try and figure out who did this to Freya?
She kind of narrows her eyes and she says, I'm not sure what you mean. And then looks down at kind of her own hand and like kind of like puts her hand down and she says, Freya and I trust I'm in good company. She kind of like, because you're all still, you know, in the same room for this conversation.
Discretion is in some form, I think, all of our business.
Yes. Freya and I are in a relationship. Some of Freya's family, Acantha, are not very fond of people of my class. I'm not rich, and I suppose that's important information to know, but if anything, that should indicate that I am the least likely person here to have done anything to hurt Freya. And she tucks the necklace back under her shirt.
Is that what Freya and Acantha had a fight about?
Let me see. Go ahead and give me, I'll say, either a persuasion check or intimidation check. And the way I usually do like conversational checks is I'll call for the check because I think it's fun to do this. I'll call for the check, and if it's a bad roll, ask what you would say that would be off-putting and not successful, and if it's a good roll, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, go ahead and give me...
Do Anjela and Walt's presence in the back kind of give any help to her in this check?
Yeah, I think, well, are you doing persuasion or intimidation?
I was gonna do persuasion.
I think if it was intimidation, it would give an advantage. For persuasion, I think it would, if anything, dissuade her from wanting to talk more, because she seems like she's kind of private about it. So I think for a persuasion, it'll just be a flat roll. So yeah, go ahead and give me that roll.
Yeah. 11.
Yeah, she kind of, what do you say, I think, that is maybe not the most persuasive thing to say to someone in this situation?
Look, if your relationship has been causing this strife in the family, like, don't you think you should tell us?
Yeah, that is a thing that's off-putting to say. She says, it's not my relationship that's causing any sort of strife. The relationship was beautiful. People's reactions to it. I would prefer not to talk about it.
Of course, I understand.
But yeah, Walt and Anjela, is there anything, any sort of additional things that you want to look at in this room? Kind of as you've got one ear.
Is there any way that we can take like a sample of the poison?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think this is maybe my mind, so it's fine. It's, you know, you can find something if this isn't what you're thinking. I just kind of always imagine that wizards have like lots of little pockets with little like maybe a couple extra,
Little like vials.
yeah, vials, maybe some parchment, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think you can fish a vial out of somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Walt-
just gonna scoop a bit.
Walt sees Angela reach out towards the poison and offers, given the fact that he's resistant to poison, to actually help her collect it to ensure that it doesn't, given the fact that it was quick and sudden death, does not accidentally get on her.
Yeah.
My guess, dear.
And it just takes one of the knives and kind of scoops it in there and then hands the container back to Anjela.
Yeah, perfect. You have some
Okay.
poison, maybe mixed with a little bit of stuffing. Hard to get a completely clean sample, but you've got something. Yeah. What you all thinking about next?
I would like to confer with... does Molly leave after that conversation?
No, she stays in because she trusts you to a point. She doesn't want to leave someone here to like tamper with the body or, do something because, as she says, she can't think of a reason why any of you would want to kill Freya, but also it's like, why would I leave a bunch of strangers alone in a room with the body of my recently deceased, girlfriend, essentially.
Is the room big enough to have a private conversation in?
Yeah, I think so. It's a pretty big room. So if you wanted to kind of pull them aside.
Yeah, I would confer, especially with Arlen after that conversation, to get her read on what was going on.
Yeah, the three of you kind of are off to the side, probably on the like opposite side of the room. Molly seems content to let you have a conversation as long as you're not like, messing with the body or like doing something. She's kind of understands the need for privacy. So I think as she sees you, she kind of like turns away a little bit, so as to give you at least a little privacy.
What do you think?
Well, I think it's apparent that Jared has the most outright motive, but I don't think it definitively rules out anyone else either, especially if there was strife in the family.
Do you believe her?
I do. I do believe her. I believe she was telling me the truth. At least to the best of her knowledge.
Walt looks over to Anjela and... Do you believe her?
Well, I'm just thinking, if it was Miss Acantho who had a problem with this relationship, it's probably Molly who she would target, and not Miss Freya, don't you think?
That's a good point. Are we sure that Freya was the target?
Now that was my other thing I was thinking, but I don't see how it could have been mixed up unless that darling little halfling I talked to made a mistake.
So, just to kind of put the cards out on the table, we have a relationship that was not well received. We have a poisoned chicken and some powdery substance on a hand. And at least 3 people with some form of motive. That set the table well, as it were?
It does. Though, is it odd that it seems like there were almost 2 methods of killing? Why the poisoned chicken and the the powder on the hands?
Miss Angela, did you tell us what you found on the hands, or just that you didn't like what you found on the hands?
This, it's very difficult to tell because it looks like someone was about to cast a spell, or maybe in the middle of doing it, but I know for sure that there was some necromancy involved. And maybe it just so happened that she died before they could pull it off.
I would take your two leads as we take our next steps. I say we proceed with caution, though, because it appears that there may have been multiple with motive and means.
Should we start in the kitchen then to see what we can find?
Yeah, I want to head to the kitchen.
Yeah, let's do it.
Walt will follow behind both of them, making sure that the things are covered from nobody's coming up from behind.
Absolutely. Yeah, everybody go ahead and give me investigation checks as you're looking around the kitchen.
Walt got a natural 1.
You're paying attention to any threats coming at you from behind.
Not looking.
How about you?
I got a 19.
19, cool.
And I got 21.
Nice. Yeah, so, Walt, you're on the lookout for other threats, kind of looking behind you, trying to, make sure that, we talked about this pre-chat, but I believe you're the only one with an AC above, Rachel, what is your AC? Yours is like 13 or 14,
that would be a 14.
Yeah, so you're the only one with an AC higher than 14. So you're kind of making sure that if someone's gonna attack someone, it's gonna be you first. But Arlen, you are looking around the kitchen. First of all, the kitchen is like very modern day would be like state of the art. So there's all sorts of magical gadgets and things. There's like this cupboard that like when you open it up seems to be like a pocket dimension where like it's really cold. So it's like kind of a refrigerator. There's sorts of enchantments and things like that all over the kitchen to like keep food fresher for longer. Someone who wants to have food that is prepared very well and with as little difficulty for the person preparing it as possible. Making something that's chef would be happy to work here. And you neither you nor Anjela find anything in the kitchen that would fit the kind of poison that killed Freya. Like maybe you are kind of looking around and there's like some fresh rhubarb, which rhubarb in like certain circumstances can be poisonous depending on the part of it, but it's not the type of poison that like would match what you have in this vial. It's not like super acrid and acidic in the way that this poison is. And yeah, I think also, Anjela, again, you're kind of noticing all of these like little magical details and like items that are in this kitchen. Notably, there is, I'm gonna say this over the table. I just put this in because it's cool. It's not part of the mystery. Now that I'm looking at it, I can understand how this would seem indicative of something. I just thought this was a cool idea. You're kind of, looking around, you find the sink, and you're kind of, like, messing around with the sink, and instead of a garbage disposal, there's some kind of sphere of annihilation that is, like, rigged to this, so that, like, if you have, like, things that you don't want to clog up your drain pipes, you just kind of drop it in and hit a switch. I realize now that does seem indicative of something in a murder mystery. It's not, I just had that idea and thought it was cool. So, yeah, you're not...
That's pretty sketchy stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
You're not finding anything in here that seems poisonous. And I will also say at this point, the way that the meals were being served, basically, there would have been enough time into this course that the dishes have already been done. Like, things have already been pretty much cleaned up from that course. There are some things out for the dessert course that they were kind of in the middle of doing. So, not completely ruling out the staff, but you don't find anything that could be used to make this poison, and the dishes have already been done.
If there's some dessert sitting out, can I just, like, have a little snack while we're...
Yeah, I think think there's the makings of what's something nice and elaborate. I think there's the makings of like a baked Alaska that's not like completely done. But there's like some meringue that hasn't been applied yet. You open this door to this pocket dimension and find like this like ice cream mound, and you can tell that this was going to have been, a baked Alaska.
Excellent. I'll just have a little snack.
Yeah.
Walt's looking behind him the whole time, so
just looking at Molly, who's the only other person in that room. Yeah. Yeah, cool. So you're not really finding anything in the kitchen. And I think, with eating and everything, you are, the kitchen is pretty big. You search very thoroughly. It takes a little while to go through. And as you're kind of munching on this ice cream, Arlen, you all hear a scream coming from another room. Walt, you're looking at Molly, who, like, her face goes white, and she turns and runs to wherever the scream is coming from.
Walt instinctually looks back to Arlen and Anjela to see if they're moving with him, and then flicks his right wrist forward a little bit sharply, and out of it comes a club out of his forearm. So like Wolverine, except Spider-Man-like, and it comes out and he grabs a club out of his forearm as he runs forward. Not entirely sure what this means.
Yeah. Arlen.
So I follow Molly if Arlen and Anjela are coming with me.
Yeah, I want to go to see where she was going.
Yeah.
Yes, but on our way through, now that Molly is finally not in the room, can I do a quick sleight of hand check just to see if there's anything in Freya's pockets?
Nice.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, go for it. Sleight of hand.
Now that I'm finally not being watched.
Nice.
23.
What is it?
23.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Let me see. Scroll back up. Okay. You don't find anything in her pockets. I will, though, because that was obviously a very good roll. As you're kind of like going through and checking things, you're getting kind of like, up close and personal with this body. And you notice, first of all, which already kind of had been gone over, there's no obvious injuries. You notice something that's another weird thing about this death, which is, this poison now. You've smelled it, you've been sniffing around the kitchen looking for this poison, and you kind of like lean over, and her, you're kind of close to like her mouth, which is parted very slightly, and you don't smell anything of that acrid poison smell on her on her mouth. And as you look a little bit more closely, you don't see any sort of injury to like her mouth that you would think would have been sustained from like the acrid nature of this poison. So you notice that really quickly as you're searching through pockets. You don't find I don't think you find anything. I think as you're going through her pockets too, you find that her pockets are also coated with the same dust.
Interesting. Okay.
Does this mean Arlen's coated in dust now?
Yeah, do I have the dust on me now?
Probably on your hands.
Great, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll worry about that in a minute, I guess.
That's a problem for future Arlen.
Walt is like full stride now, like trying to catch up with Molly, and slides into the corner of the door, and I assume looks across to wherever she's going. Is she running into another room? Is it a hallway? Where are we looking at here?
She's running. So directly outside of the dining room is this like kind of hallway, and she is running like kind of up the hallway, and you can see the room that she's headed towards, which I'll say you would have seen coming in because it's all kind of a straight shot. It's kind of the end of this hallway is the ballroom, which is where everyone else was supposed to have been kind of ushered to.
Walt looks back over his shoulder to make sure Arlen and Anjela are coming before he takes off down the hall.
Right behind you, baby.
Couple steps behind, but I am coming.
Yeah.
And so Walt just is now charging down the hall, club in hand, not sure what he's going to encounter.
You run into the ballroom, and the other people who were with you tonight are all kind of standing, again, in shock. But you notice they're kind of standing a little bit far away from the thing in the center of the room. I say thing, I should say person in the center of the room. You recognize this very fancy ball gown, and the person inside it crumpled to the floor. And as soon as you enter the ballroom, the air is chilled, like very cold. Even though it's a cold evening, the rest of the house is warm. And yeah, that's the scene that you see. Molly is standing slightly in front of the door, stock still. Sort of a tableau that you all come across. And I will say with that, we are going to take a little break. We're going to take a little break in the middle of the session. People can go ahead and have a bio break, get drinks, get snacks if you need them. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for watching. We're going to be back in about 10 minutes. So go ahead and take a little stretch, adjust. Maybe you're sitting at your desk and you would rather watch us on your phone in bed. This is a good chance to switch over. And also thank you so much to I don't know how to say this name. I don't know if it's C him Richards 42 or Chim or Kim. But thank you so much for the follow. We are now only 5 followers away from the goal, so we might hit that tonight. We might be doing a little bit of a giveaway for everyone in the chat to be able to have the chance to choose the next system that we're going to be using. Tonight in our next stream we're running D&D, but I run a lot of other systems. If you go check out the rest of my Twitch channel, you'll see clips from other game systems I've run, a fully improvised game. Oh, and somebody else is just following. I can't see the name. I will see it in a second. Obasan, thank you for the follow. Check out the rest of my channel. I have a lot of clips, actually, because I'm such a big fan of my players. I love to clip, like, funny moments and things. So yeah, we've played a fully improvised game called You Awaken in a Strange Place. We've played Monster of the Week. We've played D&D. I feel like I'm forgetting another system that we've done. We have lots of systems coming up that we might do in January. Hopefully, we're going to do a Dallas RPG that was a critical fail. Like, people hated it because there's almost no overlap between people who love the soap opera Dallas and people who play tabletop RPGs, especially in the 80s. But yeah, we might be doing that coming up. We're going to be running another D&D session on the 27th. So yeah, check out the channel, take a break, and we will see you in about 10 minutes. Bye! welcome back. Felicitations again to adventurers and viewers alike. Although, you know, I'm sure all the viewers tonight are adventurers in their own right. We are coming back at you with the second half of our wintry murder mystery. Our guests this evening are Rachel, Xavery, and Chris, and have been playing respectively an investigative rogue named Arlen, a divination wizard named Anjela, and a cleric warforged named Walt, and faced with a very unusual evening. They are snowbound, and witnessed not one, but seemingly two murders this evening. As first, their gracious host Freya, seemingly killed by magic, poison, unknown. Something strange seems to have happened to her. And there are secrets abound, as some of her other guests this evening seem to have reasons to wish her dead. One of whom we have just seen lying in the center of the very cold ballroom surrounded by the other guests, having something happen to her while everyone else was investigating the kitchen for traces of poison. But before we get back into that, I'm going to go ahead and give our guests tonight a chance to talk about other projects they have going on, other places that you can follow them, etc. And we'll start with Rachel. Rachel, do you have anything that you want to promote or talk about on stream tonight?
My Instagram handle will be on the screen for you guys, and I would like to promote wearing a mask and staying inside.
Yeah. Yes, I would also like to promote that while we're talking about it. Xavery, do you have anything else that you would like to promote?
I am at Xavery on Twitter. And I have to shout out my lovely sister in the chat. She was upset because I said hi, Mom, and I didn't say hi to her. So hi, Sasha.
Nice.
She's been gently pressuring me to start my own Twitch channel. So we'll see how that goes in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as you do, let us know, because we'll publicize the heck out of that. Let me make sure the music is playing again. I think it stopped. I can loop it, but I'm not entirely sure how. I'm using a new bot. And then we'll throw it over to Chris. You have anything that you would like to plug or talk about tonight?
Sure. My Twitter handle is also going to be on the screen as it pops up and out, in and out there. But when I'm not nerding, when I'm not attorneying and stuff, I do write. And I have a book that I published this year called Bootsville, and getting ready to publish a play that I wrote last year that we had a great time with. It happens to be a murder mystery as well. It's The Death of Jacob Marley, and getting ready to publish that as well. So that should be coming out in 2021. So wholly more selfish than Rachel was.
You gave a thumbs up for staying home and wearing a mask, so I think that's fair. Also, Death of Jacob Marley, very good play. I got the chance to see that pre-COVID last year for Christmas. Very good, very fun. And also some of my friends were in it. There is something else I was going to say. Oh, yes. One other thing I was going to say before we get back into it. You can see up at the top of the screen, I have a follower goal. I'm trying to get to 50 followers. Either this stream or the next stream. Our next stream, if you're enjoying this one, is also going to be D&D 5th edition, called Goblin Squad Lonely Home. It's also going to be holiday themed. All the players are playing gross little goblins. Some of them are in the chat tonight. So that's going to be super fun. If you want to be notified whenever I go live for stuff like that, or doing D&D prep, or playing some other games, go ahead and follow me. You'll get alerts whenever I go live. And when I get to 50 followers, if that happens tonight, I will have a thing in the chat that everyone can enter, and you can enter to win a chance to choose the next system that we play. Sorry, not the next system, because I will need some time to prep and learn a new system. A future stream, I will play, whatever cool ideas for systems you have. So if you have one that you wrote, or one that you're really hyped about, one that your friend wrote, you can have a chance to have us have us play that. When I say us, I don't necessarily mean these same players, although they're certainly welcome to return for future streams. But at Roll for Felicity, I am the DM, GM, storyteller, and I get different guests to come on and play different streams. So with that, we're going to hop right back in with everyone having entered the ballroom and seeing Acantha lying on the ground, her big blue ball gown pillowing around her as she lies motionless on the ground.
Is Molly in the way?
She's not in the way. She's kind of she like came into the room a little bit and then stopped. So she's not blocking the door.
Walt's going to go right on in and start checking out this scene as best as possible. He is going to pull the club back into his arm so he has use of his hands.
Yeah. So are you going straight to the body like you did last time? Are you looking around the rest of the room? What's your
I'll move straight to the body and start trying to medicine check, see what's going on. I'll let Arlen and Anjela do more of the investigative work.
Cool. Yeah, you quickly go to Acantha and kind of she's not like fully face down on the ground. She's kind of like crumpled with like maybe managed to catch herself a bit as she was falling. So you kind of take her in your arms, and she was elderly the last time you saw her. It appears that she has aged very quickly, like 20 to 30 years. And I'll say even without a medicine check, it seems that she has died of old age. I'll give you that for free. If you would like to roll a medicine check, there might be additional information.
Yeah, and knowing what we had seen in the previous room, I'd be looking for any powder.
Yes.
Or any residue like that as well, so.
Yeah.
Shoot. 9. I'm going to inspire myself. I'm going to take that inspiration, and I'm going to inspire myself.
Cool.
12.
Yeah, I think with a 12, you're kind of holding her very gingerly in your huge mechanical arms. And she is very frail. And yeah, as you're kind of checking, she is also dead, past the point of making death saves. But you could see how someone aging so quickly obviously is magical. But not, it doesn't seem the same way that Freya's circumstances of death. And let's see, Anjela, what are you doing?
Okay, I know for sure this has to be some kind of magic, so I'd like to do detect magic on Acantha.
Yeah. Go ahead, actually. Yeah, go ahead and do detect magic. Yep. Let me look something up. Okay.
Okay. So I see if there's any magic within 30 feet, I can see it as like an aura, and I know what school of magic is causing the magic effect.
Cool. I think what you see, because you came in here pretty quickly, there's not a current magical effect on Acantha, but you realize that you kind of see the fading effects of this magic, that something did some sort of like necromantic effect on her to cause this. And I'm trying to see what else you would get. There's small other like magical things in the room. I think you also sense something. the tail end of something having left this room. Possibly, this is kind of stretching what detect magic is, but this is one of the things I always struggle with detect magic, is it's, like, so, like, specific, and so many things are, like, magical, but not by the book magical. You sense that something moved into another plane of existence. I think especially as a divination wizard, something was here, did this to her, and then left, you know, a little bit ago. You're catching the tail end of something having left. And Arlen.
Now, whatever this was, we just missed it.
What do you mean?
Well, I can't say for sure, but obviously Miss Akentha wasn't this old. Well, she was old, but not this old when we last saw her. Someone around here is working some necromancy. And whatever it is that did this to her, not in the material plane anymore.
As she says that, what happens to the remainder of the guests?
Yeah.
What happens to their faces?
Yeah, so they all are, like, standing there, and as she is saying this kind of, like, you know, this, like, she sweeps in here, she quickly casts a spell, you know, people see that she's doing something magical, you see her eyes looking around, sensing the different magic things in the room. Almost, you know, like the whole Sherlock Mind Palace thing, where it's like, okay, and then I move this here, and I'm sensing the magic, you know, that kind of thing. Exactly. Someone else, who would say this? Yeah, I think, Magma Head, breaks the silence of everyone else in the room, and he says, "She was here, Freya. She came in here as a ghost, and she did something. She bore down on Akantha, screaming, and we all just saw her age instantly, and the ghost, snapped out of existence."
Can I do an insight check to see if he's lying?
Yeah, go for it. Go.
I would like to as well.
Yeah.
That's a whole story that man just told us.
Yeah, I would like to as well.
Yeah, everybody go ahead and roll insight.
Walt got a 17.
15.
4. I got it. That one.
Oh no. So something that is helping a lot is that the other guests, maybe, yeah, you're distracted doing you're in your mind palace, and the other two of you, something that is definitely adding credence to this story is, as he's saying it, who are the other people in this room? Jared and the two halflings, I believe, are the only other guests. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Magma Head.
I write fiction for a living, and that sounds crazy.
Yeah, they're all, like, nodding. Like, they just saw, like, something really crazy, and, like, yeah, it sounds wild to have someone say Freya came in here as a ghost, but, like, the other three people are just kind of, like, nodding, and, Jared, I think, since you kind of had talked to him earlier, Arlen, you, recognize that Jared is, like, kind of shaken out of this kind of, like, smarmy, you know, kind of playboy demeanor that he's been showing tonight, and he says, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it either, but I believe my dearly departed cousin swept in here screaming like a banshee and, did something to Akantha. And actually, also, I think both of you, Walt, you got a 17 insight? Was it a 15, 17 insight?
Yep.
You've
17.
both already seen Molly react to someone dying, which is weird. A lot of people don't see that many times in the same night. She's reacting very differently this time than she did the first time, which is weird because you all had...
She's sketchy.
You all had kind of gotten a read on her and felt like, okay, Arlen, you felt like she was hiding something, but then she, like, talked about this relationship that was, a secret, at least to some. Before, she had kind of kept her, kind of bronzy, skin tone. She looks gray, like, completely color drained from her body. Not, like, in a magical sense, that she's, like, turned into stone. But just, like, all of the blood has left her extremities. And she looks very, very shaken by this scene.
Player question. Would I have incense on me?
Yes, I believe you would, because the only spell component that I'm concerned about is if it's expended in a spell, but I think the only one you have is Revivify that expends components.
Okay. Walt's just going to stand back up and kind of walk back to the door and turn and watch Arlen and Anjela as they're doing their conversation now.
Can we see if there's any... Oh, did we already check for that powder around?
Oh,
yeah, can I look for more powder?
You, Walt did not find any when he was doing a medicine check, but if you'd like to do an investigation check, you can check for that, and then depending on the roll, there might be other things. And while you're doing that, thank you very much, Mbop, who I believe is my dear husband, donated $10. Thank you so much. Inspiration for everyone.
I think we might have, out of character here, I think my boyfriend might have given some too.
Oh, okay. I don't have...
But I'm not sure.
Okay, let me check, because I don't have a notification, but I saw someone in the chat saying +1, and I didn't get a notification for it. So let me check my email. But yeah, go ahead and you can all roll.
And I got an 18 investigation.
Nice. Yeah, I'll go ahead and give you all 2 points of inspiration with the assumption, because somebody in the chat is saying +1 to people, and it might just be that it hasn't come through or something like that. So normally, obviously inspiration doesn't stack rules as written, but this is a one-shot, baby. We're streaming. We're doing different things. You all have 2 points of inspiration. Oh! They said they were agreeing that they love the characters. You know what? I
thought he said it further up, too.
I'm not gonna retract it. I'm gonna let you all have inspiration, because I'm also a big fan of your characters, and I'm in charge of this thing. So yeah, investigation, sorry. Sidetracked. Let me scroll to the right section of my document. Okay. What did everyone get? I'll say, also an Arcana roll. You can choose whether you'd rather do investigation or Arcana, because there's magic-y stuff going on too.
I'll do Arcana.
Cool. So we've got an 18 investigation. 15 Arcana. And Walt, were you rolling something? I can't remember.
No, Walt is
looking, right.
Observing and preoccupied with a thought right at the moment. He's preoccupied with maybe a next step.
Cool. So Anjela, you're kind of, in your mind palace thinking about magical things. You didn't have a lot of insight into whether people were lying or not. But you do know, murder mystery writer, divination wizard, you know about ghosts. Of course you know about ghosts. Ghosts can do this. Ghosts can possess people. Ghosts can attack people. Ghosts can come from the ethereal plane into the material plane. Ghosts can scare people to death. Like, all of this stuff, like, you're like, okay, this does seem like it is a ghost. The room is cold. That's, like, a thing with ghosts. So it does seem like there is a ghost, there is ghost activity. Arlen, with an investigation check. What did you get in this room with an investigation check? Here's what I'll say. You have a thought to maybe this what I'm giving you is more insight than investigation, but I think it's still helpful, and I don't know that there's something in here that you haven't already figured out. Maybe checking some of the other rooms if you can get people out of this ballroom. Ghosts sometimes haunt like specific places. Like, maybe that would be good to get people out of the ballroom. And there's like a lot happening in this mansion. And maybe checking someplace like, that Freya had like a study, maybe going in there and checking up on like this thing with the will, because now, oh, my internet just completely dropped out. Am I connected? Hang on 1 second. We're still going, so I think it's okay. It just told me all of a sudden I have 0 internet connectivity. We're still live. I can still see everyone. Maybe it's just a glitch.
Yep. You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So yeah, you think maybe going to the study, looking at this will, because one of the people who was your suspect is now, dead. So, maybe looking for a will, that might be kind of next steps.
Okay.
And...
I think as we're like walking or maybe like standing up, I'm gonna cast see invisibility on myself.
Nice. Good.
So that anything's invisible I can see, and anyone that's in the ethereal plane or creatures in the ethereal plane, I can see them as ghostly or translucent if they're around.
Clutch. Yes.
So
Very
if she
good.
comes back, I'll be able to know if she's there.
Yeah. I think... Oh, we've got... Yes. Okay. You guys are getting all the inspiration. So thank you so much to Josh, for donating for inspiration. And Serious Business, is that your guy, Rachel?
That's John.
Okay. Also donated for inspiration for all the player characters. So that... Good. I hope you all are keeping track, because I don't know what people have used.
I think that puts us at...
1, 2,
I think that's 3 for Rachel and I, and 4 for Anjela.
Yes.
Nice. Cool. Thank you so much. Everyone really wants you guys to solve this mystery. Yeah, you cast See Invisibility. You can see creatures in the ethereal plane when you cast that, correct?
Yeah, for an hour.
You see a ghost. There's a ghost in the room in the ethereal plane. Go ahead and roll me... What is this gonna be?
Let's go Scooby-Doo on this thing.
Yeah. Roll me. I think this would be perception or investigation. I guess whichever one you would prefer to roll. You can roll that for me.
Okay, I'll do investigation. Oh. 19.
There's a ghost. You can see it. You know that ghosts usually have some semblance of like who they were when they were alive. It's kind of still like a very obscured figure, kind of like the edges of this ghost are kind of like bleeding into the background. Not bleeding like blood, but like, like visually. The features are not super clear. But you notice something pretty significant, which is that ghosts usually, they have unfinished business, something like that. This ghost is not wearing the ring that Freya wears that is very, very emotionally important to her. But apart from that, the ghost is just kind of chilling in another plane, just kind of standing, billowing from an unseen breeze in another dimension. Yeah. But Anjela is the only person who can see this.
So
yeah, I don't want to alarm y'all, but there is a ghost in the room.
Maybe we should retire to a different room, perhaps. Maybe it's a good chance to get out of here. If the ghost is doing a murder.
Yeah, I think that's probably
Anjela, is Ghost present on our plane or another?
Well, all ghosts are in the ethereal plane, my dear, so I think that is where this one is right now, but it seems like it can see us, and I can see it.
And if it's a murder ghost, we shouldn't stay here with it.
Should Walt has cocked and ready in the chamber. If he sees this ghost, he's going to channel divinity to turn undead.
Yeah.
But since he can't see it right now himself,
yes. It's also not...
He's just got it cocked and ready to go.
It's not in your same plane of existence.
Can I tell them, where it is? Oh.
I believe that because it's in another plane, you can see it because of that specific ability of see invisibility, that spell. But since it's in another plane, it can't affect you from that plane, and you can't affect it. So it's like...
Right, so it's just kind of a ready to action.
Yes, exactly, ready to action. So yeah, as soon as that ghost, and I'll say you, with the see invisibility, Anjela, would be able to tell when it pops into this, if and when it pops in back into the material plane. So you will know, even though you can see it either way, so you can let Walt know.
Okay.
Yeah, but you usher everyone out of the ballroom. Just out of curiosity, because this is fun for me, what does it look like when Anjela casts see invisibility? Like, what is that? Is there an ongoing, visual effect now that you can see things that are invisible?
It's probably my glasses start glowing a little bit.
Yeah. See,
you can see them
yeah, these glowing
shining.
Glasses. I love that.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, where are you all headed next? You're all kind of gathered in this hallway outside of the ballroom, ushering people out.
Can we maybe go back to the room that we started in? The little drawing room, living room place? Kind of get I want everybody together, but back in there.
Yes, and that is probably the furthest room from the ballroom, on this floor. There's, multiple floors. But yeah, that's the closest room, or the furthest room on the first floor.
Before we enter that room, Walt goes up to Anjela and Arlen and looks first to Anjela and did it follow us?
Is it following us, the ghost?
No. It's not staying in the ballroom.
And then look to both of them and be like, I'd like to go talk to Freya.
Sure,
okay.
Let's go talk to the murder ghost. That sounds like a great idea.
It's not quite the same as talking to the ghost. It's talking to what's left of Freya, but a little bit of incense. We could have 5 questions with her.
I don't know who the ghost is for sure, but it's not wearing Freya's ring. So it might not be her.
Can ghosts make themselves look like other ghosts?
You're out of my depth now.
Yeah, everybody who wants to, well, actually, I think, who's proficient with Arcana? Because I think if you're not proficient with Arcana, you might not even know where to start with this question.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, Walt is not. Okay, I knew that Anjela, I assumed that Anjela was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. You are never gonna have to worry about inspiration again. You can roll so much with advantage. Rachel, your sister donated $12 for double inspiration.
Oh my
for
God!
everyone. So, yeah, everybody really wants you to succeed.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the support tonight, guys. It's awesome. Yeah, so, go ahead and roll Arcana if you haven't already, Anjela.
I'm gonna use one of my inspirations.
Yeah, you have them to burn, so.
Wait, let me just. Okay.
Better.
17. Yeah, you don't think that ghosts have, like, above table. Let me look at my stats and just make sure what I'm saying is true. Above table, they, don't have, like, the shape changer attribute, or shapeshifter, sorry, attribute. So you know that, like, they look a little different from how they looked when they were alive, obviously. You also know that ghosts can possess people, but as far as you know, they pretty much look how they looked when they died. So it's notable that this ghost, you can't, I think, see, like, the clothing is in, like, shades of gray, and is kind of, like, billowing, kind of, so you can't really tell if, like, her clothing matches. But that ring is a noticeable difference that you don't know if that would happen if this was actually Freya. And yeah, then as you're kind of talking about this,
Well,
Walt, I think you have something specific
Walt
you want to do.
Yeah, Walt's here's my concern. If we leave to go talk to her, and that ghost comes again, I can turn it, but I can't be in 2 places at the same time.
Well, I don't know if we can figure out what's going on if we just hang out in the drawing room, unfortunately.
Do we take everybody with us?
Yeah, let's try not to leave anyone in the room with the murder ghost.
Are we... Walt, do we have to go to the ballroom or to the dining room where the body is?
We're going to have to go to the dining room. And I'm going to have to do a little bit of incense, and it doesn't take long, but we've got 5 questions.
Let's have a seance.
All right, everybody, let's go. Follow us. Jared, bring your booty.
He looks flattered. Looks a little the colors return to his skin with that little compliment.
As we walk by the ballroom, Walt, do you see him? Do you see the ghost in there still as we walk by? Anjela?
The ghost has not moved. I keep forgetting that you don't know, like, what I know. So I keep just, like, waiting for you to answer. It's like, you can see the ghost.
It's just staying there where Akanta is.
All right. So we get back to the dining room. Walt goes down by Freya, sits down, large Freya on the floor, and reaches a component pouch and pulls out some incense and sets it near Freya's head, and lights the incense on and closes his eyes for a moment. At that time, the symbol that's the divine symbol that's in his breastplate glows a little bit and cast Speak with Dead.
I'm making everybody else sit around the table and hold hands, like a seance.
Yeah, everyone's sitting around the table. I think the Wilbur.
You're moving it. No, I'm moving it. No, you're.
Wilbur and his mother both look like kind of terrified. Like they're kind of just like, okay. Jared looks excited, and Magna Head also like kind of is like, this is a. Magna Head out of everyone seems the least bothered. He didn't really know Freya that well. Like obviously it's not like he's not like happy that people are dying, but he has no real emotional investment with anyone, and he's kind of like a scummy guy. So like he looks like kind of excited. Jared looks like this is just like, you know, new experience, excitement. And you cast Speak with Dead, and the room goes still. What were you gonna say?
Then Walt looks to Anjela and Arlen and says, "We got 10 minutes and 5 questions. What are we gonna ask?"
Let's think. Does it have to be like yes or no or anything like that?
According to the spell, it can be any question, though it is not necessary that the ghost be truthful or the body be truthful. And it can be repetitious and weird, but it's 10 minutes and 5 questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt that she knows who killed her, given the nature of the death, so we probably don't need to do that.
Does she know who the ghost is?
That's an excellent question.
I don't know if this has been around here for a while. Walt's accent is like slipping in and out.
You're talking to the
let's
wrong
ask the
person
ghost.
to criticize accents.
Let's ask the ghost. Let's ask Freya's body if she knows who the ghost is. I like that question.
Okay, first question, DM. Walt kind of closes his eyes and says, "Freya, do you know who the ghost is haunting this house?"
Yeah, you cast the spell, and the room goes still. The incense swirls and settles, and Freya's mouth opens weakly, and she says, "It's me." And I'm gonna call for 2 very specific things. One, everybody make an insight check.
Oh, I'm taking inspiration on that one.
Same, burning an inspiration.
Oh, shit.
What did you get?
I rolled 2 8s in a row.
Terrible.
Oh man. I'm gonna do an inspiration too.
Come on. Oh.
Faster!
Okay, wait. Who has the highest bonus to insight? Walt? I'm gonna use one of my portents and give him a 12.
I have a 6.
Okay, so you get an 18.
Okay.
Thank you.
smart. Yeah. Cool. And Rachel, did you say what you got? I'm assuming not like amazing.
No, it's I got a 9 and then a 10.
Okay. Yeah. I think the gods of D&D are saying, listen, you can't just buy success. Yeah. So
I don't know. We need to try some more. We need some more inspiration. So we gotta test that theory.
The other so the two the wizard and the rogue can't tell, you know, like Walt already said, like the body can lie. So you don't have a real insight into like what exactly is happening. Walt, something odd is happening. First of all, you think that this probably is a lie because of the information you know about the ring. Give me a... I wonder what this should be. I'm thinking it would be Arcana, but I'm thinking it should be something that's related to the way you cast spells, so a wisdom check as opposed to intelligence.
Just straight wisdom.
Yeah, or I think it's gonna be at the risk of being repetitive. I think it's going to be an insight, but this insight is magical insight. Does that make sense? Because I think insight's your highest addition, right?
Yep. And medicine and insight.
Okay. Either one of those actually, I think would be appropriate for this.
Okay. 12. I'm going to try an inspiration, which will leave me 1 inspiration left. Come on. 24.
24.
There we go.
Yes.
You've been very observant. You've been paying attention to things. It seems like, Walt, you have a very, like, deep connection with your magic. I mean, by, you know, especially being a cleric, there's usually a more, like, wizards are like, I learned the things. It's very intellectual. You know, warlocks are like, I got this. Warlocks and sorcerers, I got this power. I don't really know how. But clerics, it's like you have these powers because you're very devoted to the deity that gives them to you. And so when you're casting spells, you feel it differently than the way some other types of casters would feel it. You know that you cast this spell. You know that it did not happen the way that it normally happens. You put your hand out and feel Freya's breath on your hand, which is not what should be happening. The spell doesn't bring someone back to life. It just makes their body able to answer things. Freya was 100% dead. And now she is not. And she is lying.
Does he tell us that?
I look over to Anjela and I'm like, do you see anything move when I cast the spell?
Yeah, do I see anything from the ethereal plane
No,
in this room?
nothing.
Can I do like an arcana to see if I know of any like spells that would shift someone's like spirit temporarily?
Yeah, go ahead and give me
Through planes?
give me an arcana check.
24.
Yeah, there's a spell. And now that, like, all of this stuff, it's another thing where, like, things are starting to add up for you. There's a necromancy spell that's not even that difficult of a spell for someone to know. And there's a spell that allows a person to cast on a willing subject to make them appear, for all intents and purposes, as if they are dead for 1 hour. And Freya died more than an hour ago. You took a long time to investigate the kitchen, all these other things were happening. And you know that the spell component for that spell is dirt from a graveyard.
I
Do
don't know any of that yet. I can't do anything. Sorry.
Anjela, we don't know anything about this. I just know we've got somebody who's alive who was dead.
I think a divination wizard. I'm giving you the benefit that you are able to read a lot on Walt's face and absorb what is going on. With him looking at you and saying, like, "Do you?"
That's
see
hard
any
because I'm not
movement?"
very expressive.
That's true.
It's not a very expressive face, so you're doing awesome.
That's true.
I have a suspicion that maybe Miss Freya herself is trying to play a trick on us. And I try to like gently tap her on the face to be like, "Wake up, dear."
While she does that, Walt's going to reach into his holster and pull out his gun and just put it right up against her temple.
Wow. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna say.
I want to support Anjela's attempt to try and get her back, get her to recognize she's alive. So it's just a support move.
Okay.
Can I do an insight check to see like what everybody else in the room is doing when he puts a gun to the formerly dead woman's head?
Here's what I'm going to say. Everybody, this is not necessarily. We're not necessarily switching to combat, but because everyone, including Freya, are wanting to do something kind of at the same time, everybody go ahead and give me initiative rolls to determine how this is going to shake out.
Cool.
Oh, Lord.
Oh God.
I have 1 inspiration left. Can I use that on an initiative roll?
Yeah, initiative is an ability check, yeah.
Much better.
Okay.
16.
Cool.
Oh, that was horrible.
Okay, Rachel, what did you get?
I got a 8.
And Anjela, what did you get?
6.
Okay. Arlen, okay, and then Anjela, I got a 6. Okay. The thing that's a bummer is Roll20 was really slowing down my internet, so I want to be able to roll this for everybody. But I'm gonna roll, just gonna get my regular dice. And just roll in my box.
Just freaking me out.
Come on. Okay.
When you're freaking out, just pull out the gun and
just put a gun to someone's head. Okay, so I'm going to roll this. If Freya gets higher initiative, it's not like the end of the world for you all, but it does matter. Okay. A bunch of things happen at once. Anjela, you say, what was it that you said when you put your hand to Freya's face?
I just told her to wake up.
Okay. You put your hand to her face and say, like, wake up. You see she jolts, seemingly realizing that the jig is up, basically, that she is about to take an action. She got a natural 19 on her initiative roll. What I will say is, everyone has a chance to basically if you have a bonus action or reaction, because you were all prepping, basically. You had, like, things in mind that you wanted to do. It's not exactly a surprise round. I'm being weird with the rules. I think this is gonna be fun. The two spellcasters, you see, she sits up, starts to sit up. You're, Walt, quick on the draw. I will say that you have your gun out. You maybe don't have it quite to her temple yet, just because of these close initiative rolls. Her hands are glowing with blue energy, one hand outstretched toward Molly, who is also in the room. And all of you have a moment to take an action, or a bonus action or a reaction, because those are both quick. And also anyone, which would just be Anjela, proficient in Arcana, go ahead and make me an Arcana check to see if you know what the spell is that she's trying to cast. And that'll just be free, that won't be your action or anything.
Okay.
Nice.
21.
She's trying to teleport. She's trying to get her and Molly out of here. Teleport's not normally a spell that requires concentration, but if someone can do something to break her concentration, you can go for it. Anjela, you said you were... Well, actually, Walt is technically... I'll still do this in initiative order, I think. So...
Oh, okay.
Because I think I know what you're gonna do.
Well, I don't...
Oh.
I don't have mage... I don't have Mage Bane or Mage... I can't stop a spell.
Right. Cool. Okay. Because you don't have any, like, bonus action attacks or anything. Okay, so next is Arlen. You do have bonus action things that you can do.
I do.
Do you want to try to do something?
Yes. I've got, like, 2 bonus action options. I can either use my eye for detail, but I think what I want to do is try and do a cunning action, which allows me to move and act quickly. I can be used to take the dash, disengage, or hide action. I want to dash at Freya and see if I can, like, knock her over or something to, like, break up the spell she's trying to cast.
Cool. So you can definitely dash over to her. I think something that would, like, be an attack would be, like, a full action. So let me see, what is Anjela gonna do? Because I think I might know. And I think this is the most dramatic way for this to be resolved.
I mean, I think that if there's no other way to stop her from casting the spell, I want to counterspell.
Yeah.
Get her.
What level counterspell are you casting?
3 is the highest level that I have.
Okay. And that's automatically the level that it is, right? Like 3 is not an upcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is teleport is a 7th level spell, I believe. So you can go ahead and give me, actually you have counterspell in front of you. Can you go ahead and read the rules for that? Because I can't remember the mathy bits.
If the spell is higher than 3rd level, then I have to beat a spell DC of 10 plus the spell's level.
Okay.
So I have to get 17 or higher.
17 or higher.
Come on.
Yes.
This is why we got this inspiration. Let's do it.
Yeah.
How many inspiration points do you have left?
I have 2 left.
Okay.
Is that right?
I think that's right.
I think I have 2.
We're close to wrapping up. I've broken the rules of inspiration before. I've broken the rules of advantage before. So previously on my very first stream, somebody gave me advantage on a roll as a tip thing, and I did double advantage on an attack against the PCs, and I rolled like 2 1s and a 2 or something. So as karma for previously,
as the dice intended.
Yeah, having previously allowed myself triple roll, which is not a thing in D&D, I'm going to allow you to use up all of those inspirations that people gave you. If you would like to tempt the gods of D&D and roll 3 d20s for this counter spell, I will allow it because I think that's fun.
Heck yeah, we're gonna do that.
And let me know what you get. Looking for a 17.
18.
Great. What does this counter spell look like?
So her hands start glowing, and I see that she's trying to escape, basically. So I take I whip like a pen, like a quill or something out of my pocket, and I go, "Not today, I don't think so." And I like jot something in the air so that it cancels out her magic.
Yeah, she sends this like surge of blue energy that's trying to encircle herself and encircle Molly, and you kind of swiftly write this thing in the air. The written word, your area of expertise, your magical ability, flies from your quill, intercepts this blue energy, completely dismissing it. Freya was kind of partially sitting up, collapses back down to the ground, and says very weakly, "Dying sure takes a lot out of you," and is seemingly putting up no resistance.
What in the world is everybody else doing?
Yeah, so you're looking around like, this is wild. Everything that has happened in the past, like, 30 seconds has been, like, I don't want to speak for all your characters, maybe not the wildest thing you've ever seen, but certainly very wild. Some of the people in this room didn't realize that, oh no, I think everyone probably knows that Anjela has magic because you did the glowy eye thing. So, you know, the two halflings are kind of like heads whipping around like they're watching a tennis match as like this magic is crackling through the air. Jared is like leaning forward with his like head like kind of like intently watching. Molly, I think, is having the most dramatic reaction, which is she has kind of taken the opportunity to kind of get as close to Freya as she can and like reach out to hold her hand. And Molly is saying, like fully weeping and just saying, like, I didn't know you were gonna kill someone. I thought we were just gonna get away together. I didn't realize we were going to use a ghost. And like just like crying and like kind of beside herself. Magma Head is drinking some wine that's still on the table from earlier. Just also, you know, it's the Michael Jackson eating popcorn gif.
Walt's just going to grab his incense, snuff it out with the end of his finger, and stand up, holster his gun, and be like, "Why?" Just like confused about everything that's happened tonight.
Yeah, I think as you're saying that, this is very much, I think before we came back from break, we were talking about Clue. Very much the, like, everyone, the police are arriving at the door as this is going down because it's been about an hour, you know, as the police said they were going to get here in about an hour. The spell lasted about an hour. There's, you know, pounding at the door. The police bust in and start, you know, looking around to see like who's around very quickly. I think what do all of you, like, what is your initial thing that you say as this is getting kind of wrapped up, as it's kind of being taken out of your very capable hands?
I look at Freya and I'm like, "No, ma'am, this is not how we behave. You wanted to see some magic? You saw some real magic today."
yeah, I think as this is kind of happening, the police are kind of like, taking people's statements, everything. It comes, which I will narrate because otherwise I'll have to do a bunch of voices, a bunch of people, NPCs talking to each other. Not really my favorite thing to do as a DM. Molly, basically makes an attempt to, like, take the blame for everything that's happened. It comes out, oh, hey, Dreamy! Thanks for popping in! Sorry, somebody just came in and said hi. You get to find out the end of the mystery. We're just about to wrap up. It basically, it comes out through, various people kind of having conversations, that, Acantha, was firmly opposed to the relationship, and had previously, Molly had worked for her when Freya and Molly were younger, and had a relationship. Acantha had caught wind of it, fired Molly for inappropriate relationship with somebody from a higher status. Freya was told that Molly quit, wasn't interested, basically it was a breakup, and Acantha threatened her, never to try to contact her again, essentially. And eventually, Freya, kind of retired from society because she had fallen in love, and all of these other suitors, she had really no interest in. It was, not fun for her to be in that kind of society. And eventually, after a number of years, decided that she wanted to reach out and find out what happened to Molly in a similar way that she was able to find and locate other people tonight. And she and Molly were reunited, able to understand what had happened in their pasts. And Molly very tearfully is, I think, explaining to the police. Freya is kind of being very nonchalant about it. She's being put in handcuffs, being kind of led away because everyone saw this thing happen and they're like, oh, okay, But yeah, she, Molly is, kind of explaining to the police and saying, like, you should take me away as well. I knew that, we were going to fake Freya's death so we could just get away from everyone, just get away from this high society. But I didn't realize she was gonna kill Acantha. I thought that we'd all kind of let that go. And anybody who wants to, go ahead and roll me an insight check as you're kind of witnessing, people talking about what's going on.
19.
19. Did anyone get anything?
15.
15, cool. No, okay. Yeah, it seems like Molly is being truthful. The police seem a little bit suspicious of, her because it's like, okay, so you were in on, like, part of the murder tonight, but not the part that was actual murder, but it seems like Molly is, now that you've seen her, like, acting, which she's, like, she was good at doing, she was good at deception, she knew what she was doing tonight, but once you've seen the difference between someone's, like, extreme emotions when they're acting versus when, like, they are legitimately having an emotional reaction to something, you're kind of able to recognize, like, before when she was crying, it was this beautiful emotional thing. Now her, like, skin is getting, like, kind of splotchy and her, like, nose is, like, running, or it's like, oh, when's this is not an act.
I told you she was sketchy.
And as Freya is being led away in handcuffs, everybody roll me a perception check.
8.
I'm gonna burn an inspiration on that because why not?
Yeah, we're wrapping up.
It's even worse.
I got 24.
You
Right, you did.
notice Freya look back at Molly and give her like a little like wink, like and I think that's such a high perception check. You're like, she's like a really powerful wizard. She was able to cast a spell right in front of me and not even notice. Like, I didn't even notice that she did it. She kind of she's a necromancer who can like tell ghosts what to do. She's probably gonna either escape from prison or try to escape from prison. No one else notices this wink. It's just a little silent thing that you see right before Freya is being led away.
Do I see if she has like a spell book or an arcane focus on her or near her?
She I think you can tell now that she doesn't, because first of all, Arlen already like checked her pockets and stuff like that and just found the remnants of the dust in the pockets, so she's not carrying a spell book. You also, now that you saw her cast that teleport, actually, should I check? Teleport does require some components. I think her ring is a spell casting focus. I actually hadn't thought about it that much, but that makes sense.
Okay. Then I just tell the police, I'm like, you better keep an eye on that one and make sure you get that ring off her. And then I'm like, if all y'all wanted to do was run away from Miss Acantha, you didn't have to go through all that.
Yeah, true. They had a very elaborate plan that they wasn't really necessary. And yeah, I think I had a couple different things for like the end of the mystery. But you kind of you pretty much foiled all of Freya's plans. You know, you go on with your lives. You know, you follow the trial, and then I think it's up to you, but if you want maybe if Arlen would like maybe cover the trial like as a reporter, you know.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Is Anjela thinking this is like appropriate material for an upcoming book?
Oh, for sure. We're gonna be writing about this one.
Perfect. And yeah, well, what do you think you're doing with as the case is kind of unfolding in the news?
Walt? Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Walt doing or what?
Yeah, Walt.
Walt is waiting for everybody to be done. He's grabbing his jacket, and he's asking, "Do you mind giving Miss Arlen a ride back to the tavern, Miss Anjela?"
Of course.
And Walt's
I'm
just
not
going to
need a ride.
Walt's just going to walk out, and he's going on to whatever's.
Yeah.
Is this
whatever's next?
This high society stuff.
Yeah, Arlen, can you do the line again? Because I am interested to see Walt walking into the wilderness.
I love Walt walking into the wilderness. I just said I'm not going to need a ride this evening, because there's no way Arlen's leaving without either questioning or at least tailing Mr. Brookred.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think is maybe catching a ride with the police. You hot on the trail of this something in your backstory with having to do potentially with some kind of organization, some kind of criminals. I'll say there's a couple of police they're not cars, a couple of police carts. And Magma Head gets into one, and you very cannily tail him in the back of another police cart. And yeah, the camera pans back from all of you. I think Anjela, the camera is, pulling back, the snow is falling, and as everyone is kind of making their way out, you see your chauffeur, like, on his way coming back, basically, the snow having been, like, too much for it. Like, he was like, I'm not gonna go all the way, but, like, by the time I get home, I'm gonna have to just turn around and come back. The snow's falling a lot, so, as you're kind of stepping out into the cold, just perfectly timed that your chauffeur is pulling up to the steps of this mansion of so many dark secrets. And that is where we'll end.
How could I
this
have
session
known?
for tonight? How could you have known?
Divination wizards.
Love it.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for participating tonight. This is super, super fun. I love doing murder mysteries. Obviously, if any of you want to come back for another session, reprise the same character, do something a little different, I'm going to be doing serialized one-shots with this, so there'll be other murder mysteries in the future, including Brookroad Magmahead is actually a character from another murder mystery that I wrote, so you might have reason to tail him, especially in the future, Rachel. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'll really quick say if you enjoyed this tonight, go ahead and give us a follow. Actually, let me check and make sure that that we didn't hit 50. I don't think we did. Because if we did, I will. Okay, come on. While I'm checking this, let's go ahead and Rachel, if you want to do another plug where we can find you at, other stuff you've got going on, you all can do that while I'm checking to see if we hit our goal yet.
Awesome. I'm Rachel. I'm at Space Bay Ray on Instagram, and I would again just like to plug wear a mask and stay inside and stay happy and safe, everybody.
Absolutely. Xavery, anything that you want to plug or talk about before we head out tonight?
I'm Xavery on Twitter. I would also like to ask everyone to wear a mask and stay inside. And happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah, I think tonight is the third night of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah to everyone who celebrates that. And Chris, do you have anything that you want to plug again before we head out tonight?
You can find me at J38 on Twitter. I'm on Facebook and all the other platforms someplace, usually under that some similar moniker to at J38 spelled out. Yes, happy Hanukkah to anybody celebrating. Merry Christmas to anybody coming up here. And please be smart. Don't do, super spreader events or anything like that if you're getting together with family.
Yes, absolutely. I, of course, would like to say, again, if you liked the stream, go ahead and give us a follow. We are 3 away from our goal of 50 followers, which is amazing. Thank you, everyone who followed tonight, everyone who tipped tonight. This has been a really fun stream, really good time. I am thinking probably next stream, it's entirely likely that... Hang on, I'm typing something in the chat. That we'll hit 50 followers. So if you liked this and you want to try to give us some insight onto what a future stream should do, go ahead and do that. I'm going to try something new that I've never done on Twitch before because I don't entirely know how to do it. But we're going to go ahead. There's another channel I follow that just started streaming. Like not just started their channel, but like just started a stream right now. And they also, I don't think they're currently playing D&D, but they do play D&D. They have a really cool session that they're running right now that is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but it's set in the world of Super Smash Brothers. So like all of the characters are like based on like Super Smash. Yeah, it's really cool. I got to catch their stream the other night. So I think I'm doing this right. I'm gonna hit the command that we're gonna go ahead and raid Twisted Team. I don't have emotes or anything, so you can't like go in and do emotes. But we're gonna if you've never done a raid before, all of the people who are watching right now will be transferred over to this other channel. So I'm gonna hit that and see if that works. And I can't tell if I'm still on. I believe that the raid worked. So I don't think anyone can see me anymore. But thank you so much for watching if you can still see me. And have a great night. Bye.